This is Manhattan Community Board One. My name is Tammy Meltzer. I'm chair. This is our monthly meeting. We're going to get started with our public session. We have public signups that people get 2 minutes to speak. There will be a timer that goes up. And after the 2 minutes, it will be stopped. Give me 1 second. After the public session of signups, there'll be the public hearing. The public hearing tonight, if you take a look at the agenda, was about new public spaces, potential discussions. If anyone has suggestions for Lower Manhattan. And after that, we'll start our business session. Please note during the business session, the public does not opine and cannot be called on or recognized. Also, we need to have quorum by the time we start our business session. Currently, we are too short. So not too short in terms of height, but too short in the room. So the next 2 people who arrive all get cheers because they get us closer to getting in on time, out on time is always where we're going. All righty.
If I walk out if I can.
It doesn't count for McCullen if you walk out the back end. So sorry. So are there any questions? Ooh, thank you. Gotta love it. Does anybody have any questions before we get moving on the public session? So for the members of the public that we have, this is Pam, we're going to go in this order. We're going to do Julie Martin and then Nimra Mirzad and Jody Drexler. And please, if I have gotten your name incorrectly, correct me when you speak. Julie? Julie Martin.
Julie Martin.
Okay, not seeing Julie, we will continue down to Nima Mirzad.
Yes.
Present in the room. Welcome. Thank you for joining us in person.
Thank you very much.
And let's get the timer going. Because I hate to cut him off. You should be able to see where it's going. We'll get that up on the screen.
Was it a live time?
Okay, well, I'll keep time.
I should be quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Nima Mirzad. I'd like to start by saying thank you for the community board great service. I'm a 20-year downtown resident. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of a large group, over 100 downtown citizens, regarding our concerns around the shelter, the Safe Haven shelter at 105 Washington Street. And I've asked others in our group to not sign up after me, so you don't have to get the same thing 100 times over. So I'll hopefully keep it really quick. Essentially, our request to you is to consider having the sponsor of the project, CUSC, come back to the community board to discuss more collaboratively with neighborhood concerns around quality of life. Our specific concerns are around the fact, as we understand them, that the shelter will have no drug and alcohol testing and that there will be no curfew, which can both lead to congregating. Specifically around PS 150, which is the public school, which is relocated right next to the shelter from Tribeca. As an example of this, for example, there's a 7-Eleven right next to the school by the homeless shelter. And we have concerns that there will be congregation there and it'll be disruptive and safety concerns for the students. In addition, just by organic outreach and talking to local businesses, we've become aware that there's large and general confusion in the community about this shelter and what will be allowed and what will not be allowed. And there's many concerns around negative ramifications from business owners about retail in the area. And so the request is that we could set up a time for the operator to come back. And again, we'd like to work collaboratively to help understand where we go from here. There's largely just a lack of understanding and transparency around this project. Thank you.
I'll recognize board members in the room and then I'll comment on that. Susan and then Jeff.
Cukes came to us when we were the financial committee before they opened. They're a very reasonable group. So I will see, I will talk to Tammy and see if we can arrange something. I'm sure they would be very happy to come talk to you.
Thank you. And I forgot to say, we watched the summer meeting as well. So we tried to do our homework. I know they came 3 months ago. And so many of us have watched that as well.
But let's see what we can do.
Sure, thank you. And the one other point I forgot to say,
no.
we also spoke to local law enforcement, NYPD precincts, and they echoed the fact that they were unaware of what was going on.
That's actually not true.
That's
Hold on.
not true.
That's not true at all. Joe?
Could you tell me some of the things that they did wrong in your opinion?
I don't think it's for me to say they did anything wrong. I think as a parent, of children that attend that school and talking to other community members, we're just very concerned specifically because we've also had input from people, about what happened at the 52 Williams shelter. We've talked to local police. I know Tammy, you said
Nima,
that.
I'm gonna stop here. Joe, hang on a sec. Nima maybe is new to the area where PS 150 has moved down, but the city has come to us and presented a couple of years ago when they first bought the building. They've come to us, many times over the course of the time. They have come and presented prior to December. They will come back. They are not opening until 2024. And there was a full commitment for full transparency that they would come and update us. So they were here once before December. We asked them to come and update in December. They will be back in 2023 as they get closer as well. So they did speak with some of the local schools. NYPD has had some turnover at the first precinct. They have spoken with many of the people at the first precinct. So there is dialogue happening. I'm glad that you're with us now because you can be a part of the dialogue going forward and have the most up-to-date information. But they did commit to coming back to us in 2023.
It's USC.
Yep.
That's perfect, yeah. And
Absolutely.
I
And
realize
beyond that, the operator that they have for that shelter when assigned.
that's fantastic. And I guess I would just point out, there may be a chance that we're talking to different people clearly within the police department, but we've spoken to numerous police officers who have told us they feel like they're not aware and they have concerns as well, which kind of amplified our concerns as citizens. So it's a large department, maybe things got lost, but we're,
NYPD is well aware. There's a station area that they have to talk to. So they're well aware. Yeah. All right, and for the last two board members who have come, we are now at full quorum, so let's give a clap for those. And we rock and roll forward. Thank you so much. Stay in touch. All righty, so moving along
Just
from,
one more sentence.
yes, Joe.
We've had shelters in the neighborhood in Lower Manhattan, and it's always worked out very well. So don't get too concerned because your problems will be listened to and we'll work on any problems you may have.
thank you.
Thank you, Joe. All righty, we're moving to Jody Drexler. Jody, welcome.
Hi, I'm Jody Drexler. I'm a fairly new member of the community. I live in Battery Park, about 3 years. And I just wanted to mention, thank you for your service. I've been listening to the meetings for the past 2 months. I hope to be more involved. Lovely to meet you, and I just wanted to introduce myself.
Welcome, and thank you for. We're rocking. We're loving this. Okay, we have a couple other members of the public who have signed up. So, and we have members of, I am going to assume that anybody else who is calling about 105 Washington, you have covered, correct? Does grooming food?
Oh, yeah, it's right here, sorry. I missed the message. I wasn't aware that he signed up already.
Okay, no worries.
It's largely the same, yeah.
Okay,
My name is Randy Renku, and moved to Battery Park about 2 years. Honestly, I didn't find about my family, my wife, my 20-month child, didn't find about this until 3 weeks ago from my board member. So we just wanted to understand a little more that how that's gonna impact us and what it is and public measure be putting there once it opens. Because we have a public plaza that's open 24 hours. And there are already homeless people congregating in that area already.
which plaza?
50 West.
Yep.
Yeah, it's right over there, which is, 1 block away from there. So we believe once it's open, if there's no additional measure being put in place, people will come to congregate that places more.
We actually think it'll help your congregation because people will have a place to go to attain services and it may help clear out your plaza, which would be delightful to have them have a place to sleep.
Right, but if they come and then is anyone gonna enforce, try to invite them to the homeless shelter. Because right now, we invite the police officer to come over. It's nothing they can do. They said they'll come here to tell them to go away, but people usually don't go away. That's
Correct.
that's just reality. So
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us tonight. That's fantastic. Going through, there's Grace Flood.
Hi, that's me.
Hi, Grace, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the welcome. Also, before I start, I just want to say thank you to the members of the community board who have been helping us with this. I'm here for the Orange Street Hotel liquor license. Lucy, Anej, Lucian, and Susan Cole. I'm sorry, I don't recognize anybody.
That's all right.
Oh, I recognize you. Okay, thank you very much. We had gone to the subcommittee meeting and we brought a petition with over 200 signatures, okay, from people who live within earshot. This new hotel that's going up at Warren Street. Okay, they are going to, I'd like to make it clear, we are not opposing a liquor license for any indoor restaurant or bar space. That's not the case. What we're concerned about is we don't want one of these outdoor terraces, you know, pumping music, you know, when people drink, they get loud, right on top of our apartment. Okay, it's a generally a low rise area around there. They have a terrace in the front, they have a terrace in the back, south and north, all right? The reason I'm here, again, I believe the petition has already been shared with the community board. It's over 200 signatures. We have paper signatures as well as an online, you know, change.org thing. That got about 129 signatures. And 82 in-person handwritten signatures, okay? From the committee meeting, you know, the hotel came and spoke as well. I had spoken with the manager a couple of weeks before the meeting. When I look at the stipulation as it's currently written, I do have one thing I'd like to ask the full board to amend. It is essentially giving permission to the hotel to run something like an aerobics class on one of the terraces, one that's going to be backing onto an awful lot of apartments. So when you take a look at that stipulation, if you look at the second to last bullet on the, I'm looking right out of here. You look at the second to last bullet, I think that probably would need some sort of amendment saying that the North Terrace would not have music. The Paul Underhill, who wrote this or signed it, has said that, he said in the meeting that he's probably gonna have
10
aerobics
seconds.
classes. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for speaking up. Let's move to our next person in the public session, Julie Martin, who would like to comment on 5G towers. Julie? She's
On mute. Sorry about that. Thank you. Yes, I wanted to speak about, just to alert the board. I have been in touch with the board and just wanted to follow up about the Link 5G communication towers to bring attention to the fact that 2 appeared in the data set from the Office of Technology and Innovation in your district. However, the public comment period deadline has already passed. I don't know, for those who might not be familiar, these are 32-foot tall wireless communication poles with 5 different types of antennas, meant to be possibly one every block in the future. That is their only restriction, sometimes 10 feet away from homes and from offices. Many community boards have rejected this initiative. The Upper East Side, the West Village and Meatpacking, CB2 just north of you, where I live, Times Square, West Harlem, Bushwick, Brooklyn, Jamaica, Queens, some of the earliest districts with the most polls have also decided they are not happy with them due to unresolved questions over safety as well as privacy issues. Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine has also called for a slowdown and for a conversation to be had, as have other officials in some 8 historic societies. Just to quote from the chair of West Harlem, CB9, they're large, they're ugly, and they're unnecessary. The city could just install needed antennas on the street lamps. They're trying to bail out the failed Link New York because it didn't make enough money from advertising. I would submit that these poles are just as much overkill, audacious, misguided a plan as the seawall the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers wants to erect along the coastline. They will be just as enclosing of the mind and of our physical space. So we're told it's about remedying gaps in service for which they have not provided any proof. And it's hard to believe that's the case for Lower Manhattan, which is probably the most dense wireless infrastructure as anywhere on the planet. We have to keep in mind the future technologies that are being discussed at tech conferences, building on the Internet of Everything, digital twinning, and the metaverse. where we need to provide everyone 100 gigabits a second. Is this where this is leading us? I mean, it sounds science fiction, but it is foreseen as a $13 trillion economy. So we need to be able to have a conversation about all this, a lot of public health information that's being ignored, and of course, a lot of privacy and surveillance issues. So I just wanted to urge the board to look into this sooner rather than later and have a public meeting about it, because there will be more polls appearing. And if we can help with suggesting any kind of experts, I work with a community group that deals, investigates safer technology, and we could suggest experts who might give a different point of view if that opportunity arises. Thank you.
So thank you for that. I'll just say that the two locations that appeared in open data, I cross-checked those with OTI. I talked to the chief of staff. They said those were an error. We'll be receiving, if we do have any proposed locations, we will get a notice directly from OTI. So I will let everyone know if that happens, but those are not active locations that are in the pipeline for us.
And I'm just gonna add, because it's something I'm following, say that if and when this happens, we are following this and looking very carefully at it, then we would have an opportunity to have a public meeting.
Okay, thank you very much, Julie, for coming. Thank you very much for speaking up. Odette Wilkins was going to also speak about Link 5G, but I'm going to, considering it's not right for our community board at this time, I'm going to ask her to return to the Environmental Protection Committee when we do have them scheduled. That'll come underneath Alice's committee. Coming forward, Tammy Lamb.
Hi, I'm also Tammy.
Great name.
So, yeah, I'm also fairly new to the neighborhood. I live in 88 Greenwich for the past 4 years. The issue I wanted to raise was around shelter that just moved in for 99. And that shelter is mainly for migrants. And past few weeks, I've been seeing groups of people congregating outside the hotel. So where I live on the 4th floor, literally directly across, basically into windows across from me, on my building. My main issue is around people who are congregating for cigarettes. I'm not talking about one person, 5 people, 4 people. And the street I'm on, the sector, is a very narrow street, and smoke can only go one way. I was not able to close the window, and it's a health hazard. I want to see if there's anything that can be done to kind of alleviate or something in place, especially for in a street.
Have you talked to your landlord about signage and things like that?
So I think right now they're trying to I don't know like all this, but I did raise it. I raised 301. They said they can't do anything because they're still
That's right.
But I mean, this is literally a group of people congregating, ordering, throwing stuff on the street. It's just not. Well, I guess in a way. So I'm just wondering if this is for migrants, what's going to happen with the homeless shelter if we can't even people know what's happening.
I would counsel you, there is the first precinct, has the last Thursday of every month, has the first precinct community council meeting. Pat is on the board over there, and there are many of us here to come. Some of our public members are on the board there as well. So,
What about like health?
Yeah, but also,
We're giving you avenues.
the first precinct meeting is on the 30th, it's on Zoom, and it is at 6 o'clock, and Lucia, will you have the link? Will they
I
send-
can get it. If you send me an email, I'll.
Yeah, and so you can email in, but also come to the third Wednesday of the month is Quality of Life. Generally have the police come to our meeting, and they were there last month, and we talked about 99 Washington, so you can come to our meeting, the Quality of Life meeting, and talk to the police officer.
and
There's only so much they can do because these people are not really breaking the law.
And if,
Right,
I have a greater concern if your windows don't close,
Right.
that's an issue that you need to take up with the landlord
the
specifically.
windows closed, you can't just close your windows 24/7. The thing is that this building, the streets are more narrow. It's
Yeah,
not
we
your
know.
regular- It's not your regular.
No,
wide
I lived there 46 years. I know it. So just come to our meeting and we will try to deal with it for you, okay?
Now you're connected with Lucian, who will send you the information on the first precinct and sign you up so you can get emails for, to attend quality of life. Ready? Thank you very much. You're welcome. And then we're gonna move to Mike. Mike in the room with us from South. Mike. I believe Mike is the last one in our public session. Well, I can't.
Oh. Okay, Mike.
Michael, you can unmute.
There we go.
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can, welcome, Michael.
Hey, thank you. So I'm a resident of Lower Manhattan for 25 years, and I apologize if this has been previously discussed at any length, but I'm new to these meetings. I'm disturbed by some of the allegations and accusations laid against the Strategic Response Group, or SRG, of the NYPD. They've been accused of operating in the shadows and violating people's civil rights, and have been likened to the Scorpion Unit in Tennessee, where their viral video has gone, online about showing really awful graphic violence against a man that died. And my question is, what is the community board's awareness or response to this arm of the NYPD?
Keep going.
I mean, that's basically it. I understand that there's they have been called to court 3 times and have not, and the NYPD has not shown up, and they're claiming there's a gag order or something, and they can't respond. And I mean, how much time do I have here?
You have a,
Two minutes.
Okay.
you have,
Yeah, so I mean, I know that 700 of them apparently were dispatched, when Trump made this announcement that he was being arrested on Tuesday, so they were kind of waiting in the wings kind of thing. And I'm all for policing. I'm not against policing. I think we need policing, obviously, but we need policing that leads with empathy and is accountable to the law. And what we don't need is stormtroopers, and especially ones that might be compromised in some way and aren't answerable to the laws that we all are. So I'm just wondering what the awareness of this unit is in the group, and what we can do as a community to hold them accountable.
Mike, you can come to the Quality of Life meeting, NYPD, it does appear there often, and ask your questions directly there. You can certainly attend the First Precinct Community Council and speak to the local precinct there. I don't believe the strategic unit that you're talking about necessarily is, the SRG is underneath the guise of the First Precinct, but they can certainly give you guidance on how you can work your way up the chain to have your concerns heard. Okay? I can't comment on any gag orders or anything else that NYPD are on. It's completely out of the purview of the community board. All right. With that, I think I'm checking in.
And thank you.
All right. Yes, thank you. Oh, hey, Desi.
Yeah.
So Desi and Mariama, last 2 to arrive. Thank you so much. We are at full quorum. We're rocking and rolling. So anybody who got here to help us get to quorum gets a chair. So
I slip in like Batman sometimes.
all right. So with that note and taking a look at all the signups we've had from the public session, we are complete in terms of the public session. We have a public hearing that is scheduled, so I'm going to open that at 6:37 for the public hearing. Seeing no signups for the public hearing, it is about creating your ideas for new public spaces in Lower Manhattan. Here, seeing no signups online, seeing no hands in the room, I will close the public session at 6:37. And with that, the public hearing. And with that, our public, hey, Andrew. With that, our public hearing, our public session are over. We have our elected reps who will go next. And then we do have a couple of our electeds who are coming this evening. So let's find.
So if you're if you're here representing an elected official, please raise your hand if you're remote. That we know, we will know that you're looking to speak.
And we'll promote you over. Okay, so the first, assuming everybody's here. Is something number phone yourself there? Yes, it is. Yeah, okay. So for the elected reps, each one gets 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes for their reports. First person up would be Tevin. If Tevin is on. I do know the CB3 also has a full board meeting at the same time, so apologies that they have to time share. Tevin, I see you. You are so you can unmute yourself.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tammy, and thank you to everyone on here. I really appreciate going first. I'll be very, very brief. I just want to say thank you to everyone, especially the staff at CB1, as well as Tammy and Alice, and all of you for your advocacy for the resiliency town hall that we had just 2 weeks ago with Congressman Goldman. Super successful event, and it could not have happened without the work of CB1 and all of you and the work that you do. I have sent Lucian our community board report with some of the work that we're doing. I do have some follow-ups from the resiliency town hall that I do want to make to our respective offices. Other than that, I just want to say keep up the great work. Thank you for always having me here, and we will definitely be in touch.
Tevin, does anybody have any questions for Tevin? So rolling along. Roy Ruiz from Assemblymember Glick, you're next. And after Roy, we'll do Keisha.
Thank you so much, Tammy. My name is Roy Ruiz. I'm with Assemblymember Deborah Glick's office. I'm her community affairs person. I don't really have a lot of updates because right now it's crunching time for the budget in Albany. They're trying to finalize that by the end of this week. So she's really busy up there. Last week we had a press conference in near City Hall regarding the 12 FAR. Deborah, along with Grace Lee, with Senator Kruger, with Councilmember Marte, came out to oppose the lifting of the 12 FAR cap. I've only seen one article so far written about it from City and State. But yeah, that happened. And if you guys would like any questions you have, you could direct those to me and I will put you in contact with the legislative director who might answer more specific questions about that. Another update is that every year the legislative Women's Caucus elects women from around the state for Women's History Month. And this year, Deborah has nominated and elected Noreen Doyle, who has been a steward of Hudson River Park for 30 years, even before the park was a park, and even before becoming the president and CEO of the park in 2020, I believe, or 2021, I'm not sure. Yes, so those are the two updates, and I sent the link to Lucian. I believe Tracy sent the link to Lucian, so that should be that you guys should have received that. So other than that, that's the link to the board reports, and that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Roy. I forgot, and I apologize for the community board. We forgot to do the February minutes, which starts the business section. I'm so excited to just get rolling. So we're gonna maybe do that, and then we're gonna go right into, we have Assemblymember Ball, and we have Brian Kavanaugh, who are going to be with us tonight. I see Assemblymember Fall is already on, so Keisha, I'm gonna say I'm sorry, I'm gonna have you wait after I have the electeds go who are present in the room. Mimi, would you mind doing a roll call? This is for adoption of the 2023 minutes to start the official business session.
Sure. Amoruso. Blank.
Blank, yes.
Thanks. Okay. Forgot. Yes, okay. Brown Kennedy,
Brown Kennedy, yes.
thanks. Cameron,
Cameron, yes. We can't hear anything.
Foreman,
Foreman, yes.
thank you. Kucha,
Kuchia, yes.
thank you. Curtis,
Curtis, yes.
thank you. Flores,
Flores, yes.
thank you. Flynn, yes, thank you. Forsberg. Forsberg, you're
Jerry,
online?
can't hear you.
Forsberg.
I see him waving. but I
He's
don't-
waving, but I can't hear him. He's on
Joe,
mute.
you have to have a microphone.
I did hear him say something.
Hold on one second.
There we
Oh,
go.
there we go.
Take that as that present.
Well, but is it a yes or any of the other options that we might have?
Are you in favor of the minutes being approved, Gerald?
Sure.
Say yes.
You have to say it out loud.
Gerald, you have to talk for the record, so you have to be loud, and if it doesn't work with your laptop, dial in.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
You approve the minutes, Gerald?
We can hear you, Jared.
Oh,
Yes.
Can you skip him?
yes.
Can you hold up a sign that says
No. So sad. Thank you. Roman,
Roman, yes.
thank you. Galloway,
Galloway, yes.
thank you. Goldstein,
Goldstein, yes.
thank you. James,
James, yes.
thank you. Jew,
Yes.
thank you. Dave. Thank you. Fidel,
Smell, yes.
thank you. Capel. Capel. Okay. Lerner,
Lerner, yes.
thank you. Lewinson,
Lewinson, yes. Sorry,
Thank you.
Lewinson, yes.
Lynn,
Lynn, yes.
thank you. Lyon,
Lyon, yes.
thank you. Mahoney,
Mahoney, yes.
thank you. McHugh. Alrighty. Meltzer,
Meltzer, yes.
thank you. Minsley,
Minsley, yes.
thank you. Moore,
Moore, yes.
thank you. Kenya. Alrighty. Robinson,
Robinson, yes.
thank you. Schneck,
Keep going. Don't see him.
Star,
Star, yes.
Jimmy Sung. Thank you. Farrison,
There he is.
thank you. Z. Nope. Z not here. You,
You, yes.
thank you. Zelther,
Zelter, yes.
thank you. That's.
Okay.
Well, we still need.
Gerald, I need an auditory vote for
I
you.
think he's working on dialing in for his audio.
Well,
Yeah, he's working on it.
It's pretty much, well, I mean, we've got.
Okay. Nope, we're keeping on. All right, he can, what's the first vote?
Yeah, he makes the first.
That's fine. All right, so let's go to our electeds who have shown up. We're gonna do this. Senator Kavanaugh will go first, and then Assemblymember Fall. Thank you both for showing up in person tonight. Well, virtually. Brian?
In person from a screen near you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. We are in the midst of budget negotiations up here, but had a little bit of a lull, so I thought I'd join you in person. I think Emily Lang from my office is also here. So just, first of all, the budget negotiations, the budget is due theoretically Friday evening. It seems like that may slip, but we are all still working very hard toward getting the budget done in a reasonably timely manner. Just 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago now, the Senate and the Assembly both put out our responses to the governor's proposal, which was released earlier in the cycle. And, we're fighting for a very wide range of, critical priorities. I don't think a lot of people realize that a very substantial increase in the minimum wage is on the table in basically all three proposals. We are also, fighting to make sure that there's adequate funding for the MTA. And we have huge investments we're working on to address climate change in particular. As many of you know, I chair the Housing Committee. The governor has proposed a really wide range of initiatives that are intended to increase housing production in the state. I support some of those. There is a negotiation about the extent to which the state would require localities to increase affordable housing, and there's been some pushback on that, but there's still a negotiation going on. In the meantime, both the Assembly and the Senate have put forth some very long-term priorities of ours as part of a proposed, whatever agreement we might come to. And just to highlight a few of them, the Housing Access Voucher Program, which is something I've supported, I authored in 2020 and have been working to get done, which is a real substantial state-funded rental assistance program that would be available for people who are facing homelessness or currently experiencing homelessness. We've proposed to fund that at $250 million for the first year. Good cause eviction, the notion that you can't be evicted from your home for no good reason, to put it most simply, is also something that I think is particularly relevant in our community. I've been at events recently where tenants are fighting eviction en masse because somebody has decided to purchase their building and thinks that the apartments are more valuable vacant than occupied. We closed a lot of loopholes in the rent laws years ago, but this is still a phenomenon on an ongoing basis in our communities. So good cause eviction is the thing that would most basically protect basically all kinds of tenants from that experience. And the third big thing that I think is very relevant locally is the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. We have, over the period of COVID, fought very hard to fully fund that program. We've put $1 billion of state money on top of the $3 billion that the federal government provided for that. And we are at the point, the program closed for new applicants on January 20th, but we're at the point where we have basically enough funds to cover all applicants who are not public housing or Section 8 recipients. Unfortunately, the state program did disadvantage those particular kinds of tenants. They're the only people that basically have to go to the bottom of the list to get assistance. The remainder needed to cover all of our public housing residents who applied for the program is $389 million. And I'm proud to say that the Senate and the Assembly are fighting for that and included them in our resolutions. Grace Lee, who represents part of CB1, certainly has been really, a very big proponent of that and has done a lot of the work to make sure the Assembly is pushing for that. But that is, again, something that is a really critical need that we hope to get done in this budget. Couple local things we're pushing for. We're trying to get, some support for affordability at 5 World Trade Center. The Senate resolution expressed a commitment to that, in principle, to affordability there. We're trying to get some money in the budget, which can be part of what's necessary to provide affordability there. Gotham, we're calling it Gotham Park these days, but trying to get some money to support improvements right around the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan side of the Brooklyn Bridge. We're fighting for $66 million for the AAPI equity funds for basically Asian American Pacific Islanders communities throughout the state, for organizations serving those that are both of those communities and serving those communities. We're working very hard on all this. The budget is due April 1st. As I said, so that means midnight Friday night, I'm still optimistic we'll get something good. just super briefly on the community side, we've reconvened the 250 Water Street Working Group because work has resumed at that site. This community board's been very, very involved in that, as have all of our local elected officials, to make sure that everybody has the information they need about what's going on, and that we're actually providing strong environmental protection there as they do the remediation. We passed a bill previously on SCREE, DRE, and SHE and D, a couple of bills, one to allow those programs to be available in Battery Park City, another to allow them to be available for former Mitchell-Lama residents, like those who live in IPN. Unfortunately, the city has determined that they need a piece of city enacting legislation. I say unfortunately only because that has added a little time to the process, but we're working very closely with Councilmember Marte and with the city, with City Hall to get those things done. I don't think there's any objection, but it's unfortunately another step in that process, which has been long and complicated. We also convened again with a lot of you and all of our elected colleagues, a meeting with the DDC commissioner and community advocates and representatives of the Department of Corrections and City Hall to talk about the Manhattan Detention Center and what the potential is to go a different route in terms of what gets done there, adaptive reuse. I think it was a productive meeting where I think we had more promises from the city to be forthcoming about information than we've had before. And just to say, we're following up and we'll be working with all of you to make sure that the city follows through on promises they made. One more just, public service announcement. Each year, the Senate we do an annual Woman of Distinction Award, one from each Senate district. We used to do them in person. In recent years, we've done them kind of as remote events. But if there are any suggestions for nominees for that, we are open to nominations. So I will leave it there. Obviously, happy to take questions or comments or move on to the next speaker if you prefer.
Okay, since this is business session, only board members may raise hands. Do I see any hands in the room? Justine.
Senator Kavanaugh, just want to say thank you. I was hearing some of the stuff you said. Good cause eviction, amazing. 5 World Trade Center, if you can get that in the budget, that would be amazing. And just keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That and a clap. Thank you very much, Senator Kavanaugh. And let's move to our Assemblymember Fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. I do have a meeting at 7 o'clock, so I can only be on for a couple minutes, but I don't want to repeat what the senator just said, advocating for a lot of those items, but I do want to emphasize really the importance of 5 World Trade Center. And, of course, I'm advocating to make sure that we have a level of public subsidy so we can see a little bit more affordability that has currently been proposed there. And of course, the issues related to climate change and, public safety, all of those things matter to me. And so, I just wanted to really emphasize those points and just leave it open to questions because I do have a couple minutes here and I don't want to leave here without addressing any questions people may have and without repeating what our great senator just shared.
Thank you, Assemblymember Fall. Any questions around the table? You have no questions, so if there's anything else that you want to give us for the 4 minutes before you have to bolt, I totally get that.
Absolutely. So one piece of legislation I do want to highlight that I'm working on, last year, the governor vetoed a piece of legislation that has to deal with the makeup of the Battery Park City Authority. So I intend on reintroducing the bill and making some tweaks on the bill so we can get that passed and across the finish line and hopefully signed into law and which would address some of her concerns. I know there are some concerns with the vacant storefronts that have been brought to my attention by both chairs, the chair of the committee, Justine Cecina, and of course, Tammy. And so, I did already send a letter to the authority basically asking what is their action plan here, because this is quite frankly unacceptable. They have to figure out a way to address this issue. And I want to start out with the Rite Aid. We know that many 9/11 survivors rely on that pharmacy that was at the Rite Aid, and the fact that that's closed and folks have to goes elsewhere for that is unacceptable, and that has to be addressed. So issues like that, we really need to make sure that we have the authority step up and really serving and delivering for what the community is looking for. And I don't think the community is asking for much, but this is just really the basic of what government should be able to provide, at least. So.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. I do have two hands in the room. He has 3 minutes and we need to be respectful. So Richard, you get 1 minute, and Rosie, if you still need it, you get one, and that's it.
I don't have a question, Assemblymember Fall, just a thank you for your support for the local initiatives that you've just talked about, and certainly, of course, for Flight World Trade Center. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard.
Rosa?
Hi, Assemblymember Fall. My name is Rosa Chang, and I wanted to invite you for a tour of Gotham Park, which so many of our elected officials are supportive of, and we would love to get you on board as well.
Excellent. Okay, no problem. I would love to definitely visit once we're done with this budget. I also have my chief of staff, Fatim Shabani, on here as well. So what's the best way to get your contact information?
I'll get you connected. No problem.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Can I just say thank you?
I think we can all say thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, everybody.
To share our electeds with other cities, but thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you. All right. So now that brings us to Jasper Scott from Assemblymember Lee's office.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Amazing. Unfortunately, Assemblymember Lee could not be here tonight, so you guys are stuck with me. My name is Jasper. I am her communications director. And so as far as updates from our office, as is kind of the theme with all the other elected reports, Assemblymember Lee is currently in the thick of budget negotiations, which includes her pushing for her biggest budget priorities, including funding for the Asian American Pacific Islander community in New York, as well as funding to close out the backlog of ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance Program, cases for primarily public and subsidized housing tenants and residents. And I'm sure Assemblymember Lee would want me to extend our thanks to Senator Kavanaugh for his shout out earlier. It's a big project of Assemblymember Lee's, and I'm sure she would also want us to thank him for the help that he's provided us on that project. His office has also been a big help. So yeah, the budget is technically due by the end of the week. We will see if that happens or not. But until then, and as far as other updates, last Friday, our office joined Assemblymember Glick to host a press conference where we sort of platformed some local organizations expressing their opposition to the governor's proposal to lift the city's FAR cap. Which I believe Roy from Assemblymember Glick's office had previously mentioned. And then later that day, Assemblymember Lee was on the site of the fire that occurred on Mott Street. We were fortunate that there was we avoided, the worst of injuries and damage, but there are a lot of residents who are currently out of housing as a result of the fire. So we are working closely with them as well as with the building owner to make sure they have the resources they need going forward and to put them back in their homes as soon as possible. So that is pretty much all the updates from our office. I will drop, our contact information and whatnot in the chat in case anybody needs to get in contact with us for any reason going forward. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jasper. Okay, moving on to Robin Forst. Robin, we do miss you on CB1. It's odd to be calling on you, but representing the mayor's office, Robin Forst.
I will never leave Community Board 1, so I'm here, happy to be here. I have just two brief announcements. One, a reminder that the Summer Youth Employment Program application process is active, but it will close on Friday. So if you know somebody who has a child or relative or neighbor between the ages of 14 and 24 who would like to participate, now is the time. It's a 6-week program. It's a paid internship program, and it's a great opportunity for young people to get some work experience. Secondly, though most of the people here are not property owners, I think everybody is aware that the trash pickup rules are changing on April 1st. The pickup times are being changed to 8 p.m. for trash and bags and 6 p.m. for trash in covered cans. And that's it for me. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Robin. And Keisha, you've been so incredibly patient. Thank you so much. See, there's a joy for you being in the room next time. So when you're in the office, just, stay a little longer and come hang out with us for the meeting. And first and foremost, thank you to the borough president for loaning us this office. Keisha Sutton James.
I would be there in person if I were working out of that office today. I was working out of our Northern Manhattan office, and came home to do this. And then I have to hop in just a second to get on to CB3s. So I will be pretty brief, but I'm excited that you guys are there. So first, thank you to all who were able to join last week for the for our Women's History Month celebration at the Roosevelt House Public Policy Institute at Hunter College, honoring women who work in health as well as the mental health industry. I was away on vacation, in full disclosure, but I understand it was magnificent. But thank you to all who were able to attend. Also, a couple of other things. If you have not already heard about this, the borough president, our office, released a report on scaffolding and temporary sheds called Shed the Shed. The report includes recommendations on streamlining and expediting the use of scaffolding and sidewalk sheds throughout the city. Really simply put, the scaffolding laws in New York City are overly complicated. And once the scaffolding has been erected, these, quote, temporary structures often remain standing for years at a time. I know the scaffolding that came down in my building, I think last year, my daughter, who at the time was 12, couldn't remember what her building looked like. It had been up for so long. She was surprised that her building looked the way it did because she, had no prior recollection. So, the sheds detract from pedestrian experience, they complicate wayfinding, and are oftentimes poorly lit and poorly maintained. So the report suggests several practical steps that can be taken from new legislation to internal reforms at agencies that help solve those issues. One that I'm most fond of, there are a lot of really smart ones, but one that I'm most fond of is there being a short-term like revolving loan fund so that buildings would be able to access monies they might not otherwise have in order to do repairs, in order to be able to get the scaffolding down more quickly. So if you have not seen it, I will ask, or I'll drop it in the, I know Andrew Chang is here with us. I think he's in the room with you, so I'll drop it into the chat. Additionally, the housing report you've heard about, I hope if you have not, if you're new to the community board meetings, the Manhattan Borough President's Office has released a report on on essentially providing or finding, sites that are available in New York City to both privately owned and publicly owned that could be developed to accommodate more housing and especially more affordable housing. The report really confronts the supply side component of the crisis by identifying 171 currently underdeveloped or undeveloped locations across Manhattan that hold the potential of adding another 70,000 units of housing, over 40% of which would be affordable. And the list of excuse me, the list of sites that I apologize, that the report consists of range from differently zoned, publicly, as I said, privately and publicly owned sites, including vacant lots, empty buildings, outdated facilities, underutilized government facilities, surface parking lots, and as well as single-story retail that could be converted to mixed-use buildings, and we will drop that report in there as well. We are hoping that you will take a look at that. Finally, if I haven't missed anything, finally, the community board application is still open. It is open until the end of this week, March 31st at 5 p.m. You must be a New York resident to apply. You must be 16 years of age or older to apply. So we are very much encouraging our youth to apply. We've been working very hard to reach out to, I know we don't have NYCHA residents in CB1, but it's generally an underrepresented population on community boards. So we've been actively reaching out to NYCHA population. And finally, I just recalled, I have to recognize Rosa Chang from CB1, who was acknowledged at the Women's Herstory event last week. Which congratulations again, Rosa. Sorry, I forgot to say that at the top. And then one last note is I wanted to make sure to remind community board members of the virtual census data training that will be taking place on April 3rd via Zoom rather. Your chair, your wonderful gracious chair, Tammy, was able to sit on to experience on Borough Board a wonderful training that we had gotten from the census folks about essentially how not-for-profits can utilize census data to really strengthen proposals and really dig deeply to support their work with data. And so what we're doing is presenting and as part of our efforts to really further empower and develop build capacity for not-for-profits on the island. We are offering that training to not-for-profits all across the island, and so I hope that you will share that information with the not-for-profits that in your area. And that's all I've got.
Awesome.
Conclude my presentation.
Hearing none, thank you so much. It was great to see you. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And we move to, I believe, Caitlin, don't let me forget you, from Councilmember Marte's office. I'm so excited.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin Kelmar. I'm Councilmember Marte's Chief of Staff. We're excited to say that we're in the middle of our second annual participatory budgeting drive. This is where you don't have to live in Lower Manhattan. You don't have to be a citizen. You just have to be older than 11 to vote on how up to $1 million of our capital funds are allocated. And the great news is that there's 3 really good projects on the ballot in CB1. Updating the padding in the gymnasium at PS 234. Updating the technology in the auditorium at PS 276, and purchasing new laptops at Richard R. Green High School. And then the 4th one, kind of unofficially, is funding for new street trees and tree guards, which will go across the district. So if you haven't voted yet, you can vote online. You can vote in our office. We did a pop-up location at Manhattan Youth this past weekend, and we'll be back there later this week. So please vote and spread the word. Going off of what the Deputy Borough President said, we are really excited to have a bill as part of this legislative package tackling the scaffolding issue across New York City, but especially in our district. Our bill will require DOB to inspect every 6 months and start to issue fines. So we're excited to see that move along pretty quickly. We are earlier in our budget process than the state, but we've been starting our advocacy, mostly focusing on stopping any cuts to the Parks Department, to our public libraries, and to the Landmarks Commission. If there's certain fights you all want us to take up, we're happy to do that. Those are the 3 we've worked on so far. We've also been working with Community Board 1 on protecting the POPs at 60 Wall Street. So we're kind of entering a new phase of that, but so we don't have a update right now, but we're working on it. We know the board is voting on a resolution tonight about intro 501A, which is about illegally parked cars. We agree with CB1's resolution, and so we'll be advocating for those amendments to be made to the bill before it's brought to a full vote. And yeah, we were part of the FAR CAP rally, like others mentioned, and part of the, I think, really productive Manhattan Detention Complex, Chinatown Jail meeting that Senator Kavanaugh helped convene.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Awesome. So does anybody have any questions for Caitlin? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. I know you're sharing between us and CB3, so we appreciate your time. I think, someone's going to kill me if I keep taking all the electeds out. All right. Last but not least is Peter C., if I said that correctly, from DA Alvin Bragg's office. He is our last elected and rep, and then we go straight into the business of the board. Peter?
Hey, good morning. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for pronouncing my last name correctly. So I am Peter Say. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Manhattan District Attorney, covering Lower Manhattan and the Lower East Side. Thank you. My first, I guess, public meeting, I was on the cabinet meeting last week. So I've already put my contact information in the chat for anybody who has any need or questions for the District Attorney's Office. The updates that I want to share with you tonight from our office is an update on our activity for the enforcement against these proliferation of the illegal cannabis shops. So our office is working in partnership with the mayor's office in civil enforcement, working with the landlords to use civil litigation to evict these illegal cannabis shops. Since we began the program in February, we've sent out over 400 letters identifying the cannabis shops in the area, letting them know that their landlords will be commencing eviction proceedings. If the landlords don't partake in these eviction proceedings in a timely manner, our office is ready to step in and assist the situation. So that's our update on the cannabis shops. And the second thing is, the district attorney has established a workers' protection unit. This unit, the goal is to protect workers' rights as far as wage thefts and also unsafe working conditions. So if there's anybody that needs to contact our office, our unit regarding this, I can share that information with you. And I'm open to any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Does anyone have any questions for Peter? Seeing no hands in the room, thank you very much, Peter. We appreciate your time. We appreciate, oh, wait, Lucian.
Peter, are there any changes that are needed in state law that we should be advocating for to assist the Manhattan DA with strengthening the toolkit for these evictions for the illegal cannabis distributors?
Regarding that, I think I may have an update in the next meeting because we're just working ourselves through the notifications and the enforcements. We've received similar comments from other officials and stakeholders about that. So if there is, we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have anything? Hearing none, thank you, Peter, and
Thank you.
We're gonna move on. Lucian, chair report, district manager report, no, chair report. You're the chair. I think I'm starting to melt from the heat here.
Too much popcorn.
I was the chair of CB1 for 10 seconds. Hello, everyone. I'm Lucian Reynolds. I'm district manager of Manhattan Community Board 1. It's wonderful to see you all today. I have a brief report, but some items that are of interest to many of you. The first update is that the Elk Street fence replacement conversation is proceeding. We've met with the co-op board of 5149 Chambers Street, met with the city, the mayor's office and some other people and talked about what the options are to get that fence repaired and secured. As you've probably seen, there's been graffiti on the side of the building. It's a landmark building. We don't want to have graffiti on that building. And so we need to make sure that that lot is secured. So that's something that hopefully we'll have some good news about in the coming months. I just want to say that it's been also a great opportunity and experience to work with Congressman Goldman's office and his team in setting up the town hall meeting that was held in this office. I also want to thank Manhattan Borough President for giving. As a community board, we are exceptionally fortunate to have this space available to us. Every other community board has a horrible time trying to find a space that's as flexible and filled with toys to have their meetings. And we are able to do so quickly because we're upstairs. So having these meetings here every month, I think we get a little bit better at it. But we're getting ready to spread our wings a little bit and try to go to some other venues around the district like we used to in the before times. But to do so, we have to really evaluate the space, the tech, the acoustics, because we have a higher level of quality that we want to operate at. Gone are the days where we just cram into a school auditorium and just pray that the sound system works.
Right.
We can't do that because we want to make sure that all of our new friends that have been joining us remotely and remotely only can come along to all these meetings well on into the future, even when we have to be in person for everything. So that's our commitment, and we are going to make sure that any space we go to will have vetted as best we can. But we do want to start seeing the district again, because that was one of the distinct joys of I think of everybody here was being just getting into new buildings and meeting rooms. So next, I joined Tammy to talk with Borough Commissioner Ed Pinkar about just letting him know that Community Board 1 is looking at all of these security frozen zones. Tammy will talk about it at some point a little bit more, but it's just important that we're working with our borough commissioners, parks, waterfront parks and cultural, also met with the borough commissioner. Paul will likely talk about that more. We're doing what we can to now that these borough commissioners have settled in under this new administration, to reestablish these relationships. And the next step will be to bring them in for district budget consultations for the upcoming season on that. So we really want everyone to be plugged in. We want to have good questions for these borough commissioners, and we want to drill down on the budget. Next, I had a conversation with a gentleman from the Federal General Services Administration. They're the DCAS of the federal government. They're going to start, they're planning on renovating the offices for the Southern District of New York for the Attorney General. So for those who don't know where that is, that's a building that's right behind 1 Center Street in St. Andrews Plaza. It's a kind of nondescript building that's just across from the church, in between the church and 1 Police Plaza. They're gonna gut renovate the building. Good thing is that it's not really close to where anyone lives, but there is going to be a discussion about it. So we've invited them to come to Pat's committee, and we're just getting the details ready for that, but they are very enthusiastic about coming in and they want to talk to Pat's committee. So anyone who's interested in that project, please keep your ear to the road for that. Next, this is really important, but especially for Battery Park City. Justine urged me to give out this PSA, but someone's been putting rat poison on South End Avenue, and dogs have gotten sick. This is not the Battery Park City Authority. There's no official government agencies doing that. Someone is, a Great Escape style, like putting it in their pocket and shaking it out of a pant leg as they walk down the street. Haven't been caught. We haven't identified who's been doing it, but it is blue, it's small, and animals like to eat it, and it can make dogs very ill. So the Battery Park City Authority has asked all the building managers to sweep it up per their duty, 18 inches to the curb, they find it on the sidewalk. But if you do know a dog owner or an animal owner, of any kind that walks their animal, especially in South End Avenue, please tell them to be careful. And don't let their dog eat anything off the street more than usual. So with that,
SLA.
yes, Onesh, if you would put on Onesh and I have been, digging deep into the SLA, and we saw that the State Liquor Authority has posted guidance on their website about a law that, passed about noticing requirements, posting requirements. So, we talked to Susan and Francis, and they're both on board, of us, making it clear to all applicants moving forward that they are to, hey, how are you? That they are to adhere to these notice requirements. So for, we already require posting for when they're coming to our meeting, but the state also requires posting when they, have a 500-foot hearing, when they have a full board hearing, renewals. So we're gonna ask the community, when you know that someone's applied to the SLA, it doesn't stop after it gets to us. But they're supposed to post notice at that format that's on the screen, of when they have their 500-foot hearing. So you, the community, know when to engage and when to go to the SLA and speak if you're so moved to do so. So if they don't have this, let us know. If you say, hey, the hearing must be soon, we haven't seen a posting, I can tell on them to the SLA, and the SLA will not be happy. So tell me, but we're gonna try to enforce this and keep the SLA on everyone to do this. This is a great set of guidance that they put out. So with that, Tammy.
Next one.
No, just, can I just
Wait.
add to that?
Yes.
And what makes it really good is that the notice has to be in fuchsia.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so it'd be easy for you to identify. You just walk by a building, if you don't see a fuchsia notice.
And Lucy just reminded me, they should bring a copy when they come to our meeting, and they should send it to us so we can see it for renewals.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they do
We'll
that.
ask them to send us a
Thanks.
photo when they post further requirements.
Fine.
Wendy and then Alice.
So, if the restaurant or the liquor license is for an upper floor, do they have permission to put it on the ground floor, or how does that work in
They
terms of?
have to put it by the entrance.
They
Yeah.
have to put it by the entrance, where
Yeah.
people, where the public is gonna go into
Right,
this
right.
space.
That's what I was just trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
so many of this stuff
It's
is, you know.
up by whatever, they put it up by the entrance.
Okay.
Alice, next.
I just want to confirm that years ago, when Jeff was heading the show there was a commitment by the applicant to bring a photograph of this very.
Yes,
Which you still have.
We still have, but it's now really very much official, and we no longer, we try to get everybody in, and approved and do a variety of things, but they're gonna have to really comply with this. That's the way it's gonna have to
Yeah, and thank you for bringing up that the required color statutorily
Yeah.
is Cindy Lauper, so.
Yes.
And they could just go online and.
Yeah. All right, any other questions on this or anything in the district manager's report? Everything will go in the newsletter. If somebody asks you, make sure you forward the newsletter. Next slide. Chair report, just go forward by 2, please. It has been a busy month. On the right, you see a timeline that is what the Battery Park City Authority is using for their resiliency projects. I cannot be more grateful to Congressman Goldman than I am that he had Alice and I with him. There is so much going on, and it is really hard to understand because the Army Corps of Engineers does not use the same level that the city's using, and all the projects are at different timelines. So the town hall was amazing. If nothing else, it showed more than anything, we need a task force for the west side. This, the 2 sample photographs that I have in here are from Reach 1, which is what they call North Moore Street and that area for the Battery Park City Authority, which will set the precedent for what happens on West Street, which is an issue for the rest of West Street, not only in CB1 through Canal, but up and up and up 2 and 4 and everything, because whatever you do, whatever you do down here that starts with Con Ed at the corner of Chamber Street is gonna continue up. So we really need to have a larger holistic look. All right, going through, that is one of their proposed alignments for North Cove. I beg you, if resiliency is any issues, of concern at all. If you love walking in Lower Manhattan, like most of the board members here do, please go to the Battery Park City Authority website. Get yourselves familiar, look at the comments. This is a massive change of our landscape. I can't say that often enough. That, and having been, I thank God for the work that Alice does on EPC, because after 6 or 7 meetings in March, I could really take a break, but we don't have time to take a break, peeps. This is happening and it's happening now. So make sure that you're out there, make sure you have comments. If you decide you want to comment individually on the Army Corps of Engineers, you have till Friday. Okay, so running through, it's just been a busy month. Oh, and the other thing that I want to thank is the maritime community and the Seaport Coalition, because we were over at the 5S Seaport Resiliency Master Plan, had a maritime workshop, and it was really fantastic. The view from the water for what resiliency looks like and the concerns and questions are something that need to be integrated in a very public way. And I've yet to see them necessarily on the west side, but it was really amazing to hear from that crew. So thank you for that. And then those are follow-up meetings that we had from Borough Board. I do want to mention the census training. And people think, oh God, why census training? You want to look at crime, you want to look at the statistics of the neighborhood, you want to see the demographics of your neighborhood, you want to take a look and understand population growth for our neighborhood. There's so many things as community board members, the census has information on. It is robust, it is fantastic, from the point of when we're advocating for schools and crossing guards, where do the kids actually live? So for that, I really, it's dry. I get it. If you're not like a data wonk, it could be a little bit dry, but I promise you it's the backbone of everything that we asked for in the CV. So it's awesome.
When and where? When and where?
We will get that email to April 3rd. Online.
Online.
Yes. All right. And then I want to go through other stuff. We had a co-naming discussion with the people who had presented during transportation. We had to follow up with them after Borough Board. And then, working on trying to figure out how we can get restrooms. It was a topic that I'll go over my exec report. Robert Simcoe's celebration of life in his photo gallery is open through the end of this week.
Everyone should go. It's
Everyone
fabulous.
should go. He
Beautiful.
has
Beautifully.
amazing photographs from the last 40 years in Lower Manhattan. Specifically, I mean,
Bittersweet.
just spectacular. So I encourage everyone to go. Next slide. All right. This timeline is the timeline for DCP in terms of their new citywide text amendments. So we know that carbon neutrality, we had a presentation of it last year. That will be coming to us spring, I believe, of April. So that citywide ULURP text amendment is coming. Following that will be the economic opportunity and then the housing opportunity following that. We got a great update, as our electeds mentioned, about the questions that we're raising for adaptive reuse for the borough-based jails and the Manhattan site. There's a survey that's noted in the CPSD that we requested at the meeting. We did get the CPSD, so we can share that. Lucian has the links for that. We did not get the survey that they list that tells you any information. So we're encouraging and begging our electeds to help us get that back. Which was promised that we could have it. For 5 World Trade Center, we know that Kavanaugh is working on affordability. It's a large topic. There are questions and comments, and we appreciate the support of everyone. Nobody's giving up. We were told by LNDC they would come back to us before anything is voted on. So I'm looking out for Q2 for the and then we can go from there. Educational Alliance still has not committed to coming back to talk to us about that. And then again, we talked about the first precinct, please go there. And then 60 Wall Street, if you are interested at their minor mod hearing for the Department of City Planning for that beautiful pops that we all agreed should be landmarked, we'll send you the information. Next slide, please. Okay, that is from Grace Lee's inauguration party. It was lovely to go to. That lovely bird is one of our constituents at Brooklyn Bridge Beach. And those are the hours for Robert Simcoe. So it's maybe a little hard to see. I can make that screen a little bit larger if you need. But viewing hours are Monday through Friday, 5 to 8, and then Saturday and Sunday, 2 to 6. 6. I encourage everyone to go see. There are beautiful photographs of Lower Manhattan. Not only the buildings and the parks and the people, but you really do see the growth of the city and of our neighborhood through that. So with that, I thank you very much. Taking pictures in Lower Manhattan, for those of you who are out and about, I don't care if it's a flower, it's a park, it's a building, it's a person, it's a pigeon. If it's a cool photo, send it to us. We need lots of photos for our newsletter. We need lots of photos at the chair report. With that, thank goodness winter is done. Let's keep going. All right. So we have, I'm gonna go over the reports first so we can then do a vote. All right, we are having lots of discussions about outdoor public restrooms as part of an open dining footprint. We're having lots of conversations. We're not the only ones. CB5 has been having conversations as well. So we're trying to work in conjunction with our other community board chairs to see what is happening. CB5 had some great results in having any new pops come along, demanding that they had public restrooms in the public space without having to show an ID to get to a public restroom.
Wow.
And they made that a condition of presentation, and the developers were really down with that. So it's something for us to think about, remember in our back pocket. We had a report from the Port Authority on Kowski Plaza work. There's lots of detailed slides if you're interested in the work that's going on. Port Authority has already done their resiliency work on their pipes that go underneath Kowski Plaza. This is just a refinement to clean up and dredge around them. And it'll be a project that starts in April and goes for 2 years. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a walking tour. I was gonna try and do it today, but I wasn't sure about the weather. For Duane Street, I'd like everybody to walk Duane Street east of Broadway. Right through the federal building, all the way over to Lafayette. Take a walk, take a look. It's all behind fences that connects over to Elk Street. And let's see if we can really turn that into something more of a shared street instead of more bollards and closed everything, right? Which then takes a look at Liberty, Vesey, and Greenwich. We talked about it at exec. I'm gonna ask you all to look at it again. If counterterrorism tells us and Port Authority tells us we can't have those streets open, which was the promise that was made for that beautiful campus thing with open streets connecting east and west and really, okay. It hasn't happened, it's not happening, but then we now have an initiative that we look at in making Lower Manhattan greener and more pedestrian friendly. Right now, walking up and down Vesey Street is not fantastic. And there's no place at the World Trade Center campus that bicyclists have a dedicated safe passage or a place to park. So let's take a look at Vesey. Let's see if we can make it a shared street. Let's see what we can do to get greenery and planters and benches. For goodness sakes, maybe somebody would like to sit and wait. And so these are things that we met with Ed Pinkar to have an initial discussion, because if we were going to be told Hell's bells go away, they were very, very curious and not unencouraging, which is really a great start for looking at this. So if you want to walk as a group, we can walk as a group. I have no troubles catching a cup of coffee around that way. And if you want to walk on your own and bring your thoughts, we will pass a resolution next month. Really important that everybody be ready. I mean, Lucian's awesome at doing Google Maps, but really, I'd like everybody to walk through and experience it, preferably on a windy day. Alrighty, with that, let's go to show up council intro 501A, the citizen reporting bill. And we'll make it done. Motion to leave debate. Accepted. Mimi's got time, or she can run. Jeff.
I oppose this resolution. People will remember when we supported the original version of 501A, there was significant opposition in the community board. It certainly wasn't supported unanimously. The proposed amendments that this resolution opposes actually make the legislation better and more tolerable. The identified problem was placard parking. And we heard again, even from Councilman Marte's person, parking was the problem. But this legislation goes far beyond addressing parking. And in particular, it creates vast areas of no standing, no stopping zones in our district that drivers are not gonna know about. I mean, it's on the driving test, you're asked a question of, can you stand at a parking meter? And you can stand at a parking meter. You can stand at a fire hydrant. That's on the driver's test. This changes that. No longer can you stand or even stop to drive to leave off a passenger at a fire hydrant. Now, one of the proposed amendments requires there to be only occupying vehicles subject to a citizen reporting. That solves the problem. That addresses parking. If the vehicle is unoccupied, it's parked. But if there's somebody in there who can move it, or you're just stopping for 2 seconds to drop off a passenger, you shouldn't have the citizens coming up to you and taking your pictures. And so I oppose this resolution because it opposes those amendments that make the legislation practical, and perhaps it will actually do something to placard parking, but I doubt it. No citizen is gonna be going up to a cop and saying, I'm taking your picture.
Yeah, right.
So I oppose the resolution, and I urge people to vote against it.
Okay, remember, we have 5 minutes, so everybody, I'm sorry, because we have 5 minutes of discussion, which means
Well, we didn't vote on that limitation.
I accepted his motion.
I don't think you have the power to do this. This is an important resolution. We're gonna cram it down with only 5 minutes of discussion.
We've actually been doing that. It's a motion to limit, and if it was accepted, it's been accepted. If you would like to be our next parliamentarian, Joe, we'll send you to training and off we can go.
I move to, remove the limit on this. debate.
I hear lots of that. Okay, everybody gets 2 minutes to speak. Thank you, Jeff, for breaking the bank on that one.
Thank you.
You go first.
Just to defend we're not talking about people dropping people off at the curb.
The legislation prohibits it though.
But what usually happens is someone comes along and sees someone sitting in a car, and it leads to, blocking a bike lane, or, in a highly trafficked area. And it leads to confrontation sometimes, and that's much more, dangerous than just, being able to report this in live time. Now, I hear your concerns about just dropping someone off. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen,
It's against the law.
But, when you're talking about someone idling, which often happens in bike lanes, people occupied, it can lead to confrontation. It's also dangerous for the cyclist or for anyone else who's using the bike lane, to get down the street.
Okay, we're going just simply around the room. Justine, 2 minutes.
I'll be less than that. I agree with what Jeff said, number one, and number two, in terms of confrontation, if someone comes up to me while in my car, not that I'm gonna be confrontational, but it's confrontational to take someone's picture or take a video. So I think this whole thing is encouraging people to be interacting with each other in a way that's people policing people, which is gonna create fighting. I don't like this
Okay.
resolution. I don't like this whole thing.
Thank you. Going around the room. Who's next, Joe?
Will someone who voted for answer Jeff?
Well, he was just
Yeah,
you may not have liked it, but he was answered.
Don't draw any conclusions, please.
No, I
I just
know.
want to hear, because now I'm on 2 different sides.
I'm going to Betty.
There's nothing in this particular law that isn't already illegal.
No, that's not true.
These things are illegal, but
It's
they're.
not illegal to stand in a fire hydrant.
Jeff, Jeff is a point of order.
I'll
Please
shut up.
do not fight with board members. Thank you. Betty.
People stopping momentarily in crosswalks. I know that affects me because I can't cross the street, so I have to go into ongoing traffic to hit intersections. It does affect you. People waiting in bike lanes, that's how the people died. It wasn't because somebody was just moving their car, it's because they were there. They were blocking it from other people. These things are really legitimate concerns, which was the law was passed in the first place. What this has changed in the event, what it originally changed, it was to get rid of any numeric, 25% of the what was collected. That's been removed and no, that's not being debated here. So that's false, even if with this amendment, even with these changes. What they're saying is put signs up everywhere saying, oh, someone to take your picture, and the law could be enforced by a picture, not just the police. That's a ridiculous waste of money. All of our district would be covered by this law anyway. So we can plaster the whole district with signs saying, oh, you know what, you're subject to this law. It's a waste of time. Now, they want to develop a new app. Well, you know, we have 311. We have other systems already.
30 seconds, Betty.
So this is a lot of redundancy there.
Thank you, Betty. Next, Marcus, hand up.
Jeff and I often don't agree, but we certainly agree on this one. Yeah. And he's spot on a few things. Someone else, mentioned, people policing people. That turns into, people with a police state. I mean, this is a slippery slope, of citizens reporting on each other. I don't like it. I grew up in Brooklyn. I don't like snitches. But in reality, the slippery slope of what this, I mean, a lot of these things are already, not allowed anyway, but the city's too lazy to enforce it, of course. You have Ubers sitting all over the place, blocking traffic, nothing's done, things like this. But the slippery slope of citizen against citizen, is really scary. And, I think based on that, we should support it.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Mitch, I'm gonna go back on this side. Mitch, Mariama, and then Eric.
Okay.
And then-
I agree with you. I agree with Jim Mark, where you have to be able to drop somebody off. And I know on some of these narrow streets, let's take Reed Street, for example, which is a dangerous street for bicycles, but there's only one lane for cars. So, and I see it all the time because I live near there. If a car drops somebody off, they have to park in the, drop somebody off in the bike lane because they can't drop somebody off in the passing lane. It's impossible. So I would be in favor of taking out, and also idling. I'm with you on the idling thing, but so then make it idling. If a car is idling for 3, 4, 5 minutes, put that in there. But the way this bill reads, technically, somebody will take advantage of that, and somebody who's dropping somebody off, but technically it says you can't even stop to drop somebody off, even though that's maybe not what the intent is. So I would be in favor of taking the, if you want to make some idling thing, but take out the provision about that if somebody's in the car, like the chase of that.
There's already an idling thing, and please, everybody remember that you can't just, there is already an idling provision, so that's already in there. And please also remember, you don't automatically get a ticket if a photo is taken. It has to.
If a photo is taken.
It's the same thing, if you're going to fight a traffic, you have to then take a time out of your work. So I would propose to take out if you're in the car, take that thing out, because I think that would satisfy a lot of people, and there might be a compromise. Otherwise, it's gonna just be either a black or white thing, and this kind of doesn't.
Okay. Mariama, you're next.
Yeah, I'll be voting against this as well. And I have actually an example of where it's dangerous for also pedestrians, well, that are, or passengers in a car. I was letting out my disabled sister that had been arrested. I did not pull over into the bike lane, but I'm adjacent to the bike lane because I have to get as close to the curb as possible because my sister can't walk. A bike that should have seen her comes up into the lane anyway and hits her.
Oh.
Okay, so I don't need a bike rider or anybody that's just a nosy person coming over and taking a picture of me and submitting it. And furthermore, we pay our taxes already for police and tax, traffic enforcement to do this. Incentivizing citizens to go around looking and snooping at what other people are doing is dangerous, and it should not be happening.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, I'm against this as well. We're not dealing with the real issue. It's the police and traffic enforcement agents not doing their job. And for the people that are saying that this is for cars and that are parked illegally, just keep in mind, the next step will be, maybe they want to take pictures of cyclists with facial recognition. Where does it end? Or taking pictures of other petty crimes? I don't think we should not be policing ourselves.
Yeah.
We pay taxes, we have the police, they need to do their job.
Thank you, Eric, for your succinctness. Sir, I'm sorry, you cannot speak because you are not a board member. I appreciate your participation in the public session, but only board members are allowed to speak during the business session, all right? Susan Paul, you're next.
Yeah.
I'm board member.
He's a board member.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's on my committee. That's Bernard.
We're not used to seeing one another.
It's Bernard. He can speak.
This is Bernard, and then
All right. So,
Colin.
and Paul.
And Paul. Here's a question before we go around with 1, 2, 3.
I want to talk.
Okay. Hit the timer. Go ahead.
No, just 2 minutes. One, I totally agree with Jeff. And I thought about this a lot after our executive meeting. There's just no way, even with the change, I just can't do it. There's something very wrong. And we should, traffic should be enforced, traffic enforcement. I don't want my neighbor being my policeman. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask Bernard, Paul, and Colin if they have anything positive to add. Because I'm feeling the room here, and it's not feeling like this is gonna go.
I think there is a consensus at this point around the table, and we should just call, I think we should call the question.
I called Bernard and then Paul, so Bernard
Yeah,
goes.
well, I'm just saying that,
And then Colin.
I'm just saying that even you are for it, there's a enforcement issue. Because right now, if you take a picture, how do you prove it's idle? It's a still picture.
Yeah. Exactly.
You have no idea, so you wanna take a video and then, but you can cut the video and edit it too. So in the sense that, essentially, regardless, you cannot prove anything, essentially.
Just one last thing. This is
Just hang on, so I agree with everything everyone said, and I think it's deputizing vigilantism, which is really, really bad. But the problem is, then we go back to the original bill as is. If this board feels like there's a movement against the actual concept of citizen policing, then we need to be stronger in the language. Otherwise, we're just endorsing what was already there, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think it's well-meaning to try to get better enforcement, but people don't like
Not through deputizing.
bringing, deputizing citizens to do it. We want to get the people who are supposed to be doing it, the police and the traffic enforcement agents
So
to
can I just
do
make a
it.
motion?
We have
So,
30 years of.
I think we should vote on the motion or table it, one or the
I
other.
think-
Table it, right?
I think tabling is the right.
All right, then I'll make a motion to table. You want a second?
Vote on it, we're endorsing the language as is, right?
But we're
Change the language, right?
The only problem with tabling is that then we could constantly bring it back. If we vote it down,
Right.
then hopefully people will be dissuaded to just rewrite it again and again
No.
and again.
If you vote it down, right, we already know that if this comes through and we vote it down, then we will have no comment for our city council member. If we table it, because it doesn't look like it's going to pass, then I am asking every single one of you who has had something to say about this bill to take a very good look at the bill and see what changes you wish have been had and send them to the chair and co-chair for transportation, so we can come to some kind of a consensus to move forward.
What's the timeline on the bill vote?
We need to get this done through through executive or transportation next month.
Can I ask a quick question?
Well, we have a motion to table.
Yeah.
It was seconded.
Withdraw, right?
I think we should just vote it down. That's my current
Well,
opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question is, and if I,
Hold on.
it's about the
You've already
process.
spoken. Mimi had her hand up.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So if we vote this down, can we have another resolution that says that we are, as a board, against citizen enforcement?
That's my question.
Yeah,
That's what I
you
was
could
gonna
propose a
That's my
resolution.
question.
Someone seconds it, you can come up with the language and then we.
Yeah.
And that's.
We can do that next time.
You can do it tonight.
Yes, can we, okay, we're gonna table this.
Okay.
I don't think we need to take a vote on tabling, it's pretty clear, all right?
You should for the record.
And,
The first roll call.
okay, so we're gonna take a motion to table's been made, it's been seconded, I'm gonna call for a vote.
Right.
If you were not here for the full vote, you must announce your name so we can count you for the record, intent mark, and then your vote. Everybody else can raise a hand. If you are online, unmute, please. All right,
And turn your camera on.
and turn your camera on. This is not gonna be roll call because we've already roll called for the minutes.
But we need Forsberg to also
Forsberg is
say out loud.
gone.
His vote is not.
So
gonna make
that's
a
a fair thing.
Doesn't make a difference.
Okay, so if you are in favor to motion, for the motion to table, raise your hand.
We're in favor of table.
In favor of tabling. If you were not here for the first vote,
Amoruso in favor of table.
thank you. If you are online and you are in favor of tabling, please make sure your camera is on. Hint, 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 hint. Board members, please don't make me be like that. And you have to verbally vote. Sorry. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna say those in favor. Are there any abstentions? Hearing and seeing none. Are there any recusals? Hearing and seeing none. Motion to table passes.
Do oppose.
Are there any opposed? Ah,
Okay,
There we
Walter,
thank you.
Opposed to tabling.
This is opposed to tabling.
I didn't vote yes, I'm gonna.
1, 2, 3, 4.
are you opposing or voting to table?
Opposing table.
Opposing tabling? Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Canal, Kay,
Okay,
Portland.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No,
four,
sir.
no vote. Five.
Okay. With that, we are done with the executive committee. I will say as the weather warms,
Tabling.
tabling passed. As the weather warms and we are in person next month, I'd love if everybody arrived a little early so we can do a coffee wherever we are and people can get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Point of
You can.
information, anyone can bring up a new business, a new resolution, if they want to start writing it down with language and proposing with kind of the consensus of what everybody said about the citizen, it's
It
up to
would be
them.
great for people to do their research, know what they're talking about, read the bill and come back to, it'll either be on
Like
the agenda
everyone
for
had a pretty
transfer.
good knowledge at
Yeah,
this point, so.
Just don't have the
All
Well,
right, let's keep going. Next committee.
well, anyway, someone can do it if they want,
Thank you. Wise in there.
Yeah.
as per Robert.
Okay, next committee. Rosa, you're gonna do, Tricia.
Oh, we're done with the motion.
Okay, Rosa Chang's gonna do for youth and ed today. Thank you very much, everybody. Rosa, please project.
Okay, thank you. And this is actually awesome notes by Tricia. So I'm just speaking her notes. So we have
Mark,
can I hear me?
remember, guys, all side chatter can be picked up by the microphones and does impede the people online for their ability to hear.
What I just said about you, take that.
Yeah, I'm so worried. Rosa, hit it.
I apologize.
To try and project. So we had Joshua Adams come by from the School Construction Authority, and by the way, he is all kinds of awesome sauce. Thank you, Josh, for coming. Josh reported on current SCA construction projects in CB1 and fielded questions about making it possible for principals and teachers to be able to get into the newly constructed buildings earlier to help to ensure that the rooms and spaces meet the programming needs more accurately. We have been asking for this for a while. So we are hoping he is able to work with us to make that happen. Number two, we had Superintendent Kelly McGuire attend. from NYC DOE District 2 with updates. And Kelly McGuire talked about changes that they're implementing in District 2 and fields questions on middle and high school admissions issues. Number 3, we had Playground NYC Transforming Our City Through Play presentation by Zoe Fortune. And Playground, I don't know if you guys are aware of them. They run the Yard program at Governor's Island. It's an adventure playground. They came to present about their mission and invited requests for partnerships with our school community. They operate the Yard as well as bring pop-ups that play models to different locations across the city. The approach is to remove barriers to play as they work with children. Trained play workers support different kinds of play through active engagement and awareness. Children are invited to direct their own play and have the opportunity to be creative and imaginative with the support of their caring play workers. Children can build and destroy structures, use tools, interact with nature, dress up, while taking physical, social, and emotional risks that develop their confidence, skills, and independence. It looks awesome, by the way. Number 4, discussion on the possibility of an AHRC NYC preschool program at 83 Maiden Lane that supports children between the ages of 3 to 5 with disabilities. Provider wants to work with the community board to get a sense of local needs, speaking back to the census information that Tammy was talking about. They don't know yet if there is a local need or how much local need there is, so they were coming to us for help with information. That was presented by Christina Muccioli, Vice President for Education Services at AHRC NYC, and discussed the outreach to parent groups and preschools with children aged 0 through 5. We had a community school district number 2 list of schools discussion, and we are compiling a list of all schools in CD1. Currently, we have a list of elementary and middle schools, but we need to add all of our high schools. That is it. Thank you. Thank you, Tricia.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Next slide.
Wait, we have a question.
Oh, Andrew.
Yeah, I can't recall if this came up in the meeting, but if there's still opportunity, maybe connecting the playground people with PPCA in terms of what they've been thinking about reconfiguring play space with Wagner's Heart going down.
Definitely.
That should come up, but we will definitely put them in contact.
So I just, when you're compiling the list, it would be great, I assume you're doing this, but just to make sure that it's not just for public schools, but for private schools, and if there's any charter schools, you have that on the list.
No problem. Morton?
Yeah, one of the things that did come up at the Youth and Education meeting was when the School Construction Authority presented, and I raised the question of when the sidewalk bridge and scaffolding might be coming down at the PS 150. That's causing various problems. There's still problems with the drop off and the pickup, and also some of the parents had mentioned that some people were sleeping under the scaffolding at night, and the school staff has to clean up after them in the morning before the children come to school. The representative said he didn't know because it's really the private developer that is responsible for it. But the private developer did initially promise us it would be down in the fall in October, but now it's now March and it's still up. And there's an area along the side, which was a staging area, where there's almost nothing in there, but they still have the barriers so we can use that area. So if they could find out for us or put some pressure on the developer to clear up most of that space, some of that problem will be alleviated.
Yeah.
I mean, the parents who came in and complained about homeless people congregating. I mean, I support the shelter. I think the shelter is what we need, but it'd be good to have the people in the shelter and not sleeping on the sidewalk.
Without a doubt, but, the school also has school safety, which is responsible for the school grounds at the school, which includes the entrance and exit. And they have a good relationship with NYPD and so between the two of them, that needs to happen. And Downtown Alliance will make sweeps, but that is really, if there's a problem on school grounds, school safety needs to leave that with NYPD. And the developer of the building should be responsive to the school. That is one of their largest tenants.
I mean, obviously, but the school safety officer comes out in the morning and she deals with it, and it's just another thing she has to deal with, and it'd be good if it could be, the problem
has
could
to
be
deal
solved
with,
from.
she has to deal with it. I'm sorry to say, but we can, the community needs to support that without a doubt. NYPD, Downtown Alliance, the developer with getting his shed down, but everything revolving around school safety has to be handled by the school itself. It's an important part to remember that they need to be the ones to lead for their school.
They do. And
Yeah.
They're very actively involved, but anything we could do to help them will be great.
Okay, thank you, Rosa, for giving that report. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Morton. Does anybody else have any other things? Moving on to the next committee, transportation. Dr. K, take it away.
Yes, actually, we're gonna deal with two of these things that are continuing on. So the first two are resolutions and they're for street activities. They are both for peak activities, they're annual activities. So we can start with those, and those will both require a vote. Go on to the next slide, Washington Market Street School. Again, this is an annual event since 1986. It's hardly new. It is for raising scholarships for the preschool population that attends the school. They've had no complaints. In fact, there's support from the Friends of Duane Park. We share the same stretch of street with them. This year, they're not sharing the same street on the same day. But anyway, there have been no objections to this, and the event will be from 11 until 3 p.m. And then there'll be 2 hours of preparation at the beginning. So you'll see it starting, the street closure will start at 9. And it'll end at 5 p.m. Well, because there's 2 hours of cleanup at the end. Same as every year. Go to the next one. This was very straightforward and went through unanimously. And that was that we support Washington Market Street School's request for street activity permit from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I can't say the date, but it's there. State Street between Greenwich and Hudson.
Saturday, June 3rd.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we're gonna call for a vote.
Maybe we could do both together unless there's an
Betty, you wanna
objection.
take that? Both together?
I'm fine with the other one as well.
Keep going through the other one and then we'll take this together.
The other one is the TD5 Borough Bike Tour, which again is sponsored by the city of New York and produced by Bike New York. It will be held on Sunday, May 7th. There have been no changes in anything. The route's the same, the starting point's the same, the starting point's the same. The speaker stage is the same. The one thing they've done is they are decreasing the number of speakers from 24 to 13. That doesn't mean they're gonna be louder, it just means they're gonna be fewer of them. They've been working with sound engineers to allow them to do that. And found they didn't need to disperse it over as wide an area. We also already announced the hotline that will be effective from midnight the night before when setup starts all the way to race. Again, it's very straightforward. It supports approval of the permit. And then it names some of the things we asked them to do, which they've already agreed to. They did it last year.
Sorry, that's coming over muffled. You kind of went off. Couldn't hear you.
So I'm getting notes coming to me online. When you're speaking in the room, everybody, some of us speak like this and you can't be heard on the mic. Some of us turn to look at and you can't be heard as well on the mic. So please make sure even if you have to look at the presentation, Betty, that you try and scan for over here. I might have to make that huge. I get that. It's far away, but it's just for audio purposes.
So can I call the question?
Call the question. Second, we're taking them both together, so. Okay, if you were not here for the first vote, please make sure you need to say your name out loud, your vote, and that you were present, all right?
Do that again?
No, not you.
No, you're good.
No, you're not the only one. All right, and that, if you are online, in order to be qualified to vote, you must have your camera on. All right? And okay, Joel, thank you. Elizabeth, I need to see that on.
Vicky, Laura.
Vicky, Laura, has to be on. Thank you, Vicky, thank you.
Secretary's point of order.
Yeah.
Sorry, the agenda says report. These are the offices, right?
Yes. Laura, need your camera on to qualify, so thank you very much. And so if All in favor, raise hands in the room. Okay. Anybody online? Raise your hands or unmute yourself to vote if you were not here at the first one.
I vote yes. Joel?
Joel is present for the meeting. Thank you so much. Is there any opposition? Seeing no opposition online, are there any recusals? And any abstentions? Seeing none for both, motion passes. Excuse me, unanimously.
Thank you. Then there was a renewal of existing DOT open streets. This is straightforward, but I want people to know what they are. I wish I could see it. Anyway, the first one is Duane Street from Hudson Street to West Broadway. This is done by the operator. The partner is Keo Restaurants, same as it was last year. Again, will start on April 15th and run through the end of the year. And you can see the hours, they're 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. depending on the day of the week. But it's operational 7 days a week. Again, no changes from the past. The next one is Peck Slip from Water Street to Pearl Street. The partner here is Peck Slip School. So you'll notice the hours here, which again, also starts on April 15th. The hours are more school hours. And while it's given Monday through Friday, the typical school week, from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. I think you can pretty much assume that on school holidays, they're probably not going to put the barriers out there. Because all of these are closed streets. That means you can go through the local, I'll get to that at the end. And the next one, third, is Stone Street, which is again a long-standing operation here. The partner hasn't changed. It's the Stone Street Community Association. And their operations are 7 days a week from 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. To go to the next one for some of the details. If you have any concerns or problems, the typical way to respond to it, because there's nothing I can do at this point, go to 311, go to the Open Streets Division and make your complaint at that time in real time if someone isn't behaving the way you think they should be. As far as what you can or can't do to anticipate it, vehicles and parking, there is no through traffic on these open streets. All three of them are closed streets as they have been in the past. But they do allow local deliveries, pickups and drop-offs, as well as necessary city service vehicles to come and go through. And if you go to the next one, I think that's it. Yes.
If memory serves me correct, when this open street thing first started, that when the city made the presentation, I thought that we were allowed to opine on the renewal, that they just wouldn't come to us and say, we're doing it again. Isn't that correct? Does anyone remember that?
That's not correct. And in fact, these have no, it's a DOT peer review and none of these had significant complaints at all from when they
Well,
operated.
it's a matter of process, not complaints. Why is it just automatically renewed all the time without
Because there were no complaints.
any?
We did not feel, Mark, the need to do a resolution on it. We received no complaints. There were no complaints logged through 311. So they
But the
courteously,
mechanism exists that,
the courtesy, they came, they come, they present.
but I'm trying to remember, this is going back a while, but the mechanism exists that we can opine on any changes we want to make before a renewal.
I think
That's what I remember.
I think that law has changed with all of the other opportunity of changes, but we would be happy to have Lucian search that up and
Okay.
circulate it around. No
Okay.
problem.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
What I remember, what originally, and specifically the Duane Street, between Hudson and West Broadway, that was because of the pandemic and nobody could eat inside. So they opened up the street.
That's right.
100% in favor for.
Mhm.
Now that's not happening anymore, and they just have the enclosed shed, which is just like taking up a few spots on one side of the street, no problem. But the other side of the street, there's actually no business, there's no people living there, there's no people mingling in the streets. And other than car cars parking there because regular people can't stop there, there's no reason for that street to have been automatically renewed, like Mark said. I'm not familiar with the other locations, but there was a reason for the people to be in the street. Now people are eating at that restaurant that I'm familiar with that area. And they're eating in the restaurants and the, kind of like the little outdoor cafe, sidewalk thing that's, and then the shack, that's perfectly fine. But the rest of the street, there are bicyclists go through, there are cars that go through, there are, now because people are scared on nights and weekends to like leave their car there, and I don't have a car, so I'm just trying to think of everybody. Or they're afraid to leave their car there overnight or on a weekend. But because cycles are never enforced, and I'm not trying to mention, but it just shows that it's not impacting anybody else. So, like I said, it's not black and white.
Mitch, are you looking to have a separate dialogue about the one on Duane Street?
I would be, because I know that like I said, once.
We certainly can bring that back to DOT.
I'm sorry?
We can certainly bring that back to DOT to have a separate discussion on that one. No problem.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions? Great. Thank you very much, Betty. Let's move along. Jason, welcome.
Hi, everyone. We'll just go from the top here. 121 Broadway. There was a slide, right?
Oh, sorry, Jason.
What happened?
Betty, did you present about the co-naming?
No, she didn't.
That next month, we didn't do anything.
I thought you voted it down.
No, I thought.
Okay, so let me just say, the co-naming did not go well for the applicant at the meeting. There was a fairly large consensus that no one wanted it in committee. So they were going back to the organization to have a separate discussion about how they would potentially rename for a co-naming if they wanted to pursue that, or they were going to take different options. We had a follow-up meeting with them to understand how many characters are on a street sign, what other kind of co-namings have been done.
Thank you.
For example, at Borough Board, there were 2 co-namings uptown, one for the Black Panther Group and another one for a member of the clergy who had served the public his whole life. So we went through the discussions of them with what co-namings have come to us and things like that. They said that they would come back in April if they are planning to proceed with a co-naming. So that's why Betty didn't feel she had to say anything, because.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll see what happens.
What about you're talking to me, please?
And Councilmember Marte did hear everything that was said in the meeting and is waiting to hear as well what they say when they come back.
Well, because of this, I hope that he does not do this again where he gives the applicant an okay before the board is actually accepted.
I think it was a really good dialogue.
Okay, thank you.
Jason, thank you. Take it away.
Okay, 120 Broadway. We put up the pic that was up there before. 120 Broadway, the zoning building. This is really just one little part of the building's great ground floor on Cedar and Broadway and whatever, it goes all around the whole block. So apparently, the resolution kind of notes that there was some confusion during the presentation. Even when I further investigated the deck, there was a lot of contradictory renderings and things like that. And so what the resolution asks is that the applicant work with, that the commission not approve this, storefront modification because there doesn't seem to be any sort of adhering to whatever master plan is in place there. And it certainly doesn't do anything to unify any of the storefronts. This is just half of the building on Broadway. So, and this is the proposed. No, this is the existing, and then so the next slide is the proposed. So it's not really much there. I didn't see an improvement so much. And then there were some questions about the materiality, which just weren't in sync with what we thought should be either part of the master plan already or what the other bays display in terms of the materiality. So that was a disapproval. And then after 120, the slide is for 1 Wall Street, another amazing, important building on Broadway. This was a modification to a signage proposal, which seemed in keeping with what was previously approved, although not exactly the same detail connections or types of signs, some adjustments to the locations. The two areas where there are signs are on Broadway in the middle, there's a pin sign, and then over the Wall Street entrance on the left. And then also some modifications to that Wall Street entrance on the left to remove some historic revolving doors, which don't no longer serve the purpose of providing good egress from that space. So Printemps is taking over the space, and in part, they're going to remove the revolving doors, do a really good job, it looked like, of we're putting pieces back in place on the inside of the building in zones that may or may not be governed by landmarks because they're interior in that case, and making it the removal of the doors, making up for it by reinstalling some of the historic materials that are going to be taken out on the inside when the doors are removed. So I think everybody in the room was okay with that night, even though we don't usually recommend any removals of original materials. Okay. And then 39 Erickson, okay.
Is there another slide on Google?
It's just,
No, there were just two, right? Or just one? No, so I think,
One.
okay, so now we have,
Where's the signage on it?
go back a couple of slides, I'll show the signage. Okay, so one signage is here.
Get out of the way when you point.
That was already there, and then they're adding one south of that here. I'll point and then move down.
What is the sign gonna say?
I think Printemps.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the precedent, that's who's going there first,
Yeah.
hopefully forever.
That's the end of that area.
Also another sign here, another little sign here, and then an adjustment to the sign here that was already somewhat.
And the revolving doors are gonna be there,
And the revolving doors are gonna be removed,
but yeah, that's.
and that's where they were.
Where are
I mean, it's a very special entrance to the building, but
I'm sorry, where are the new doors?
yeah, the new doors are here.
Well, I understand where they are located, but is there a proposal that we can see that shows? the
Where?
new doors?
You're in the way.
I mean, you gotta come to the meeting and look at the deck. I can't put every slide in there, but,
Well,
you know.
I guess the before and after would be handy, but
Okay.
I just want to make sure that this is, what we're looking at is the existing doors.
No, you're looking at the proposed.
Doors.
Yeah, you're looking at the proposed. It says proposed
Yeah,
signage
signage
over
over
here.
here.
I can flip the deck to you. I think that it's a sad day to lose, doors, but we can't, revolving doors just, they're not useful anymore, unfortunately, for exiting spaces. So we get, we might have to get rid of some. Okay, so next is, two requests for evaluation.
They can preserve those doors and all that place.
No, but they're doing some work to preserve other parts. You would have liked it, Mark, I think. You can abstain or whatever, but I think it was with your kind of vibe for good work. Okay. Decent work, decent.
There's a lot of side conversations. Let Jason keep going.
This is one of the great unlandmarked buildings. It's it's part of the NPS's historic buildings, the state historic buildings. And, what the picture shows pretty clearly is that the inside and the outside are very much together, intact of the period that's most historically significant of the building, which is postmodern. But what's important here is Alice and some people put together a request for evaluation, which was a follow-up on the meeting we had a month before about what we can do to promote and actually apply for extending some of our historic districts or the historic buildings in our districts. So this is one. The other was what, the West Broadway, I think?
Yeah, just, if I can just say
Yep.
that attached to this resolution on 350 is the actual request for evaluation guidance for district council that we've already submitted for consideration for this resolution in accordance with and support district council for that. Just to be clear that we're looking out there.
Yeah, and I
The other was 285 West Broadway, right?
right, 285 Broadway, at West Broadway, it's a great Beaux-Art building. standalone, fantastic, intact building. It's not, an individual landmark or.
For the post office, including the evaluation of the interior as well, because there's some pretty, wonderful things still in there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's specifically like, the ask there.
Yes.
I think-
It is, okay,
I
great.
think we would take just the outside, but,
This beautiful
Inside.
grass.
Yes.
Sure, gorgeous.
yes, yes.
Do me a
agreed.
favor, guys, because we have people online, raise your hand before you speak in the room, because it's only fair for people, like, for example, Andrew back here has a question.
Copy.
Andrew.
I don't know if you're finished, if you need.
I'm ready.
So coming back to One Wall Street, the room that exits out into Wall Street, that Wall Street entrance or exit.
Yeah.
Is a very unique red mosaic tiled Art Deco style room.
Yes.
If they've retained that, is that some of the material they're gonna need to displace?
It's retained, I believe. The material specifically is, if you've been into any of these type of buildings by this architect, some of the entryways are very thick with, like brass detailing and stuff. So they're hoping that their intent and what they drew is that they're taking those type of parts, like extruding them into the space more to create this kind of airlock or whatever in the same material. But, they do explicitly say they're going to be shuffling some material around. Obviously, the doors are a tough thing to like reuse, right? But other parts. So
Not
yes,
much fuss about the doors, but the red tiles are really quite.
my understanding is that's not to be touched. So, and it's still there.
Wendy and then Alice.
So several of us on an neighborhood can raise our hands, went on a tour yesterday of the space, and it's magnificent, the room you're talking about. They spent $1 million to bring it back to, I guess its original glory. And I think the presentation that we saw yesterday was at this French store that I can't pronounce the name of it. You got it better than I did. I don't want to butcher it. But that's coming in as trying to do this very high end and being very welcoming to the public. I mean, we heard over and over again, we were raising the concern that we wanted to make sure that it was a public space. Yeah, I was to say, a public space.
No one can see it from the side.
Yeah.
Bring it this way, and at least that way we can get it on camera.
Yeah, thanks, Rosa, because I also took a lot of pictures because it was just so. Public.
We lost the way.
You
So
lost
it
it.
was looking.
So I just,
I saw that.
I was very reassured in terms of what they were trying to.
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous room.
It is.
Yeah, the only
Very
thing I-
warm and.
Stop. And no crosstalk in the room. If more than one person is speaking, all you hear is like Muppet sounds on the recording. So Wendy, please finish. Lucian is holding the photos up, and then we have other hands. We go next to Alice, and then I think next Richard had his hand.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, I just wanted to say that I thought that the care and the answering the questions, especially, we were very afraid it was going to be exclusive and non-welcoming to the public. We asked about signage. They said they were going to make the signage as appropriate for the space, and so it was going to be small. And they're hoping to bring people in by, just the beauty in the windows and that type of thing, because they did remark that they're not going to violate any of the, historic nature of the space. But I thought they were incredibly forthcoming, and we asked a lot of questions, and the tour was quite extensive. So for those of us that were lucky enough to go.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Wendy. Alice, you're next.
So if anyone wants to go, there's another tour tomorrow night. I might disagree a little bit here. I actually did not hear anything about the replacement of the doors in this building during the tour. And in fact, they have wiped clean pretty much every hallway and every elevator door in the interior. Yes, indeed, and this board fought hard for the Hildreth Meyer mosaic interior. You've seen the red mosaic room, which was a public room, and thankfully, thanks to this board's work, I think, got that preserved as a public room. But I did think it was odd that we heard nothing about the replacement of the doors. And so my question wasn't trying to challenge the lack of seeing it, but to really understand what in fact really is going on at that corner. There's one magnificent spot.
Sure.
With one magnificent door, and the fact that so much of the interior is taken out, in fact, of the rest of the building, that it calls to question this idea that you're presenting that they're going in some way to match the materials, because the materials are currently stainless steel and fabric, which are not historic. So just, I don't know, if you felt comfortable with it as a committee, you know, that's fair game.
Well,
But
yes.
I'm sorry I didn't attend, so I rest my case to say I'm not sure what this was, but, and I should go look, but I just want to point out that on the tour yesterday, that was not mentioned.
Yes,
Maybe I missed something. I don't know, Rosa and Wendy, you were there. and-
No, they did talk about the doors.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, stop. Thank you. Joe, your hand is
They
up.
did not talk about the doors, they all only talked about the red room. And as Alice said, everything else was white, really white.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody, I saw one other hand up. I don't remember whose it was. Patrick, was that you?
Yeah, I'm good. Answer my own question. Thanks.
Okay, anybody else who was on the tour yesterday have anything to add? Rosa?
I don't know if you are aware about the room at the top, but they said that has gone, between asbestos and lead paint. They had to remove things, and that is going fully private.
We fought for that too, lost that years ago. That was really sad. The cloud, I think it was called the cloud room maybe, that had the alabaster ceiling that they said had asbestos, hence why they couldn't save it, and also very difficult.
I remember that, yeah.
That was the boardroom.
All right, anybody else have anything else on this building?
Yes, I have my hand up.
Thank you, Vicky. I apologize. I missed you. Vicky, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to support Jason by saying that during the committee, they told us that the revolving doors had to go. And that they made a separate vestibule between the front of the building and the interior. And that they did everything they could to retain the look on the inside. When they moved the revolving doors, they showed us all kinds of pictures on how they were going to retain this thing and celebrate the history of the original architecture. And a lot of the signage, which I had some trouble with, like how many times can you say what this store is, right? They kept referring to a previous application that we approved under Bob Stern. And so they were kind of teeter-tottering on both of that. Like, oh, every time we had a question, they're like, oh, that was approved before. But I personally thought that there were way too many signs calling the store. I mean, you'd have to be blind to miss it. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Anybody else have anything else to add who's in the room? Desi?
I just want to ask about the tour tomorrow. Is there a particular place to meet?
It's right in front of the building, right at one.
Right
of Whole Foods.
Oh, Nesh,
I will be sending out an email. I will be sending out an email tomorrow morning with the details. It's the same details that were sent out before, only for tomorrow.
Thank you, Onesh.
You're welcome.
So for anybody who did not hear that, Onesh has the information. She'll be sharing it with everyone. You can go tomorrow. And as Joe mentioned, it's across from Whole Foods. Okay?
No,
Understood.
it's diagonal.
Anybody have anything else that they'd like to interrupt with?
Do we want to take that
Joe, you're
controversial
done.
one?
You've hit your quota for this.
Do
Jason?
we want to take that one? I mean, the rest are, I think, not at all. So I think I was gonna vote in maybe any other direction.
Do you
but
want
yes.
to
So that's the beautiful 285 West Broadway.
Thank you.
This isn't the end of our, I think at least our committee's desire to request other evaluations from landmarks. So this is just the beginning, hopefully, these two buildings. And then 39 Erickson Place, is there a slide for that? Just to show the existing proposed?
No, this is the last one.
39 North Moore, what was that? Okay. Well, we had another resolution for a building 39 North Moore.
You did that already.
I did it?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you did it.
You did it.
I didn't say anything.
You did. Good job.
Don't ask you
I
to
didn't.
slide.
You know, you didn't.
Check the
Jason.
tape.
No, there's no slide for 39 North Moore, but it was listed in the.
It's in the packet, though.
It's in the packet. So it was storefront I think I actually didn't love it, but, it was all good new stuff that was somewhat in keeping with, appropriateness for the blog, and it wasn't removing any sort of historic fabric. Unfortunately, it's not in here, but, I don't think it was too controversial. Vicky wrote a nice resolution about it. So how do we want to take this?
Call the
So-
question on all five?
Yeah, yeah, people can say I vote no on X.
Okay, so so Jason agreed. We're gonna take all five. If you disagree at all with anything, then the way it rolls is you have to say your name, which one you're voting differently than however it's called, okay? So with that note, everybody who's online, please make sure your cameras are on. Please don't make me have to chase you. Thank you. Okay. Raise your hand if you're in favor. Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions?
I stand on 1 Wall Street. The rest I approve.
Blank abstains on 1 Wall Street. Meltzer abstains on 350 Canal and 1 Wall.
Self-serve abstains on 39 Northmore.
Are there any other abstentions? Are there any recusals? Hearing none on all resolutions passed. Thank you, everybody. Let's move to the next committee. Paul Goldstein, take it away.
Thank you. One quick question for you, Jason. Was that a historic version of the downtown Little League hat you're wearing?
No, contemporary.
Oh,
It's a little worn.
look historic. I like it. Okay. The Waterfront Committee met, and the first item I'll report on was our session with Anthony Perez, who's the relatively new Manhattan Borough Commissioner. He took over in, September 2022. He had previously joined with the Bloomberg administration. He worked for a few other mayors, and he was pretty impressive. He went around and he got to know several of the leaders of our local parks down here. He met Warwick Price, who runs the Battery Park down here. He went and met Skip Bloomberg, who is a leader of City Hall Park. And he made it a point to get together with, we have a lot of friends of groups which set us apart down here, which is the strength of our neighborhood. So he met with Friends of Washington Market Park, Duane Street Park, Barnett Newman, Finn Square, even a new organization, Peckslip Park. So I was impressed with that. You know, that's a good way to get to know what's going on with the parks. And he was very responsive. He had a positive attitude. So I think, we were off to a good start with him. So we had a good session with him. Next, we got together with a gentleman named Art Simpson. He's a senior forester with Parks Department. And he basically walked us through the process to try to get more street trees planted in the neighborhood. Basically, you either apply through 311 or through their website, and you go there and request a tree through their search. And, you do have to apply and go through their criteria. It's a little more challenging, obviously, in a place like Lower Manhattan, where there's a lot of subsurface utilities, and you need to have space for pedestrians and space for other things here. But they do approve a lot of street trees in Lower Manhattan. So bottom line is, They do approve street trees down here and, once they are approved, they're generally planted in 18 to 24 months. And he agreed to provide the community board with a list of any approved street trees. So you can let us know, or you can inquire about any street trees. And we could let you know if there are any on your block that have been approved. And then finally, the item that actually we spent most time on was a proposal for a permanent piece of artwork in Elizabeth Berger Plaza. That's a plaza that's relatively new, opened in 2021 across from the entrance to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. For those who don't know, Elizabeth Berger was actually a longtime member of Community Board 1. She was also a former leader of the Downtown Alliance. And the plaza is located, as I said, across from the entrance to the Battery Tunnel. And it's in a spot that was the former neighborhood known as Little Syria. And it was basically displaced when they built the tunnel. So the Parks Department is trying to build an artwork that would recognize that neighborhood and that community. So they have quite an elaborate and large piece of art that is intended to pay homage to the Syrian community through their literary community, and to recognize the contributions of that community in Lower Manhattan. Now, that was a rather complex and extensive proposal that they brought before our committee, and it was the first time that anyone had seen it at our committee. So there were quite a few questions that were raised, and the committee really wanted to have more questions answered. So, and the Parks Department was planning to bring it to the Public Design Commission this week, the same week that we had seen it. So we asked for more time to review it, and they did agree to that. So it is coming back to the committee in April. So I would just recommend that anyone who is interested in this very elaborate proposal to come back to our committee, because it's going to be hard for you to really get a sense of it and for us to show it and for you to understand it at the full board meeting. Come to our April committee. Hopefully we'll get a fuller picture and understand it ourselves at that point. And that's pretty much the story.
Thank you, Paul. I'm actually gonna back Paul up and say, Andrew, before I'll call on you, I'd actually really like, because it's a major piece of Lower Manhattan.
Yeah.
And in order to do it full justice, I would really recommend that everybody watch the last portion of the Waterfront Parks and Cultural, see where they already were, see some of the comments and feedback, so you are not completely lost. And if for any reason you cannot go to Waterfront and Parks in April, watch the recording before you get to the full board. Because the full board is not the place to re-present the entire project. And you can sit at home, sit on the subway, I don't care, just watch the YouTube videos before you get to the full board.
Right, it's complicated because a lot of the
Andrew and then.
the writing is in Arabic, so it's even hard to interpret it and see what they're saying.
Exactly.
But go ahead.
So, I believe we requested that they submit in writing responses to some of the issues that came up during that meeting, and I thought they agreed to do so. I think it'd be really helpful if we get those before the April meeting when they come back.
We can certainly push for that because they already corresponded back that they agreed not to go to Public Design Commission until they come back to us. I don't see any reason that we don't push on that as well.
We also asked for the precise same deck that they would show the Public Design Commission
Yeah.
to this board.
Right. Joe, you're next.
As I saw it, there were two problems with the project. Someone who I didn't know got up and spoke about 5 or 6 different things that he did not agree with as to the writing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
So I think they're gonna work that out themselves because I don't know anything about everything. And number 2 is, it's a lot of work on a small space, as I see it. And the problem is, the rest of the park, you can't do much because of the subsurface.
Right.
So, I thought it was a beautiful thing, but, you know,
I also think it's super important that the people who are current people at PS 150 take a really good look at the deck and understand, because although that park is not designed for children,
right.
there is no doubt any parent who is waiting for pickup, there's no comfortable place to wait by PS 150. They're in the park.
Yeah.
So all of those families should really take a look at that as well.
One other thing, one of the people involved said you can sit on the mosaic sculptures. They're made so you can sit on it. Right, Paul?
Not sit on it.
Back.
Yeah.
It seemed very odd to me, but.
Okay, remember, everybody watches the video. Morton, then Lucian.
Yeah, I go to PS 150 every day because my son is there. And I looked at the park after I saw the presentation. And I just concerned that the installation is going to convert that park into an art installation rather than a park, and it's going to just overwhelm the park.
So your feedback is it's too large.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe we have to reach out to the parent community and they should attend.
Joel, yes, please read. You happen to be a 150 rep, and Rosa, please make sure 150 people are present and that they get to see the last deck that was shown. Joel, you're online with your hand up?
Yeah, Paul, so, Anthony Perez is taking Bill Castro's place?
Yes.
That's a yes? Yes. Okay, I would like to I'd like to get involved with setting up a meeting with him because we've had so many problems over the last 10 years with Bill Castro and 3 Hanover Square. He pretty much, just ghosted us, after we started those meetings with the, 3 Hanover Square, I guess, deck, which is unsupported and may even collapse if a fire truck went in front of our building. So I'd like to restart those talks with the commissioner who might actually care about 3 Hanover Square and what it looks like today with the broken benches and the broken tiles and the total neglect of that park.
Okay, Joel, we will reach out and get that on a future agenda. Thank you. Lucian.
Yeah, I just want to report that I did reach out to Jennifer Lances. She's the Director of Arts and Antiquities for the Department of Parks and Recreation. She gave the presentation. She had already begun the process of adjourning their presentation to the Public Design Commission based on the conversation that you all had in committee, that she understood that she was to come back and present a much more detailed presentation, but she's gonna work with us, figure out exactly where to drill down. And then also she heard that she needs to give the same presentation that the PDC will be receiving. So she will back in April.
That's all. Does anybody else have any questions for Paul? Seeing none, Paul, you good?
Okay, we'll just have to make sure we focus down on the issues that we think have to be,
Yeah.
I know we said Oned should try to help us go
Yeah.
through the tapes and make sure.
We definitely want to be as clear and concise, and
Because there were so many different comments
there were
all
too
over the
many
place.
comments, and it's not, where we want to be is to have all the comments recorded, synthesized, and things like what Morton said, his concerns are size overtaking. And so the concerns to come back through is is this too large? Can it, can there be more public space, less of the size of that? Yeah.
Okay,
Remember,
thank you.
all of that will come from this month's meeting, so be prepared to come, having seen the video, next month. Paul, thank you so much. Let's move on to Alice.
Okay, yeah, speaking of youth, I highly recommend the one, that we had on, March 20th for the waterfront, the Environmental Protection Committee. Particularly the first part by Tom Fox, who came and presented. He's the co-founder and president of Hudson River Park Conservancy. He's really instrumental in setting up that park as we see it today. And it was an absolutely extraordinary presentation on the history of the park, and it gave everyone hope that you could see something like this happening again on any part of New York. And he kind of went through ways to do this, and he was advocating for what we as a board have supported, which is the idea of a West Side task force, resiliency task force. So there's a couple of pictures I just thought would be fun to see. Yeah, so that's what the park looked like in 1986. For those of you who remember, that is our area. And it's really quite extraordinary as a before. He had many terrific pictures that I think you'd really enjoy. So next slide. I'm just going to show you. This was his, and he had this very humorously, but this was sunbathing. Next slide. Picnicking. And these are incredible. That is Pier 26 to the north and Pier 25 to the south in 1980. Kind of amazing, right? So, I take a look at that because you see the street, you see absolutely no park, and you realize that when we talk about redoing an area of New York, this is what happened here not that long ago. And we can do this again when we're looking now at the resiliency that measures that we have to do. So, and next slide. There it is today.
Some
right?
crosstalk. Can we cut the crosstalk? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next slide. So he went through the idea of the creation of the West Side Task Force, and I'm just pulling up 5 slides because he was very specific in ways that he thought that this could happen. And so he started with saying there should be an estuary for flood protection, and that already exists. And he gives these specific aspects as to how that can happen. And a lot of this is happening with oyster restoration initiatives, wrapping pier piles and the bulkheads and such. So it was kind of a very hands-on, real understanding of how this might happen. So that was one point he raised. The next one was in next slide. Improving the water quality, how essential that is. And he was specific in telling us all about the need for a large stormwater sewer line, that the routine discharge of these 33 sewer outfalls that we have now that dump the untreated water into the river has to be stopped. And that this kind of sewage line could in fact go under the park and 9A if we were to redesign it. And this was a really sort of interesting new take on what might be a real solution to that problem. Next slide. Then, of course, we have talked a lot about in committee, which is the redesign of Route 9A. And, the whole idea of how the development has changed and parking has changed and transportation has changed. And so we really need to look at this road in a different way. And he points out also with each one of the things he described, how we might pay for it. He points out the 1.2 trillion federal infrastructure investment and jobs act and the $110 billion that would go to the nation's transportation infrastructure lobbying, that we certainly have money to redo that road. So I thought that was encouraging. Next slide. And then expanding the park and using creative shore-based measures. We've talked a lot about that in committee. The idea that the roadway could in fact be narrowed, that the median strip could in fact be removed. And he talked about the history of making the median and all of this incredible information about how it was originally made, but of course it could change. And how expanding the park would provide for more creative shore-based measures than some of what we've been seeing unhappily by the Army Corps. And again, somewhat considerate and doable in his eyes. And I thought it was very powerful and hopeful and helpful. And then lastly was talking about, and we really are at this point in our board, I think, is, creating this task force and who should be on it. And he was adamant to say that it's only the governor and the mayor that makes these decisions, that can assemble this group, and that we really have to work on them specifically. And that you have to have all players in the room. So Hudson River Park Trust and the Army Corps, Department of Environmental Protection, State Department of Environmental Conservation, and all of the transportation departments. So he underlined something that Goldman had underlined in our public hearing, the need for everybody to be in the same room working together. So that was the West Side Resiliency Task Force presentation by Tom Fox. And any questions? In record time. Yes, Mark, oh, sorry.
So what do they mean by the narrowing of Route 9A? It's already, they're driving that all the time. It's already, they're gonna take away lanes. What are they talking about?
There's no plan yet, Mark.
Yes.
It's a consideration of different ways to look at 9A. So for example, if the median were removed and parking were removed along the west side of the highway, that this would allow for more room to be given to the park for resiliency measures. You don't necessarily have to support it or not. It's just a way to
Well,
look.
it's just
at
a
9A.
matter of practicality. I mean, the traffic is insane now, and to take away lanes is ridiculous. Plus, the median is actually quite nice.
Yeah.
When I drive there all the time, when you stop at a red light, you see birds and trees and this and that. That.
Versus a
resting-
9-foot wall or a berm, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
just so you know, I'm just reporting on a report that given to committee, not in debate.
Alright, so
about
I
this.
just
So, yeah.
be aware for, let the full board know that taking away lanes, please have this on the radar and let us know if
Yeah,
that's gonna
well,
become
I
a serious
heard-
consideration, because I think that would be just as viable debate as a citizen against citizen was.
Okay, hear you. I encourage you to come to the meeting, so it's interesting stuff, absolutely. Okay, next, so that's just what we had today. Actually, this is last slide. Okay, the next thing we had was, the New York City Accelerator presentation. This was by Larry Katz, who's an engineer with the Accelerator Group. And this is a group that's really a great city resource. It's managed by, MOCJ, Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, and it provides free training and guidance to help building owners improve their building's energy efficiency, reduce energy costs, and reduce carbon emissions to meet the requirements of local law 97. I can't impress upon you enough that this is an amazing resource. They have about 30 people that work there. And basically, they will come to your building and take a look at what you can do to make things better in your building in terms of energy, carbon, et cetera. So it's something where you just go online, New York State Accelerator, Mega Solution, you can send this around to everybody and you can make an appointment. Now, he reminds us, and don't forget that this is addressing local law 97, which those of you might remember is the law passed in 2019 under de Blasio's Green New Deal, which looks to reduce emissions produced by the city's largest buildings. Those buildings over 25,000 square feet, market rate buildings over 25,000 square feet. So he went over a lot of detail on this. I'm not going to do this tonight here. I think what you need to know from this is simply you can go and get these people to come to your building. Lastly is our resolution.
Before you go there, Lucian has one comment about local 197.
One resource that he showed us that I thought was of incredible value for everyone is an online tool where you could put in an address of any building and it would pull up essentially what they've analyzed the energy usage of that building, and they will say if there is going to be fines essentially in 2025 and 2030 based on its current output, and then what investment would, like a 10% reduction, what that would do to the amount of a fine that was put on that building. So I would recommend anyone who is in a condo or a co-op certainly to do that, but for renters who are organized to push on your landlord to make those improvements so they're not passed along to you, there's a direct relation to that as well. So definitely use that resource. I can send out an email with it, but I also encourage you all to watch the video because it was a great presentation with a lot of real implications to many people here.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I
Eva.
definitely.
Okay, any questions on any of that? take a look at, we'll stick that link in the newsletter. Please share that with anybody else that you know who would be interested. Alice?
Okay, lastly, we finally have adopted, what we hope, some guiding principles for our Lower Manhattan coastal resiliency. We've been working on this for a few months now, and basically all we did was take principles that exist that were done in 2021 by the city of New York, by numerous agencies that are enumerated in the third whereas, if you're looking at the sheet. And this was called the Neighborhood Coastal Flood Protection Project Planning Guidance. And it was a very great document, which is only being summarized here. So what you're seeing here in this document is simply a summary that is setting forth the 3 goals and 16 guiding principles that were indicated in this report. And our committee looked it over very carefully and came up with, or believed that none of those had to change, and then added in the last whereas local priorities, which are the ones that did have a fair amount of discussion, and hopefully people are happy with those, or most people are. And so that therefore be it resolved is simply to adopt these principles with the understanding they have flexibility and that they will change potentially, but so that people, that when we're all gone, that people have a place to go on our board's archives to say, what are the principles? You know, where are the city's principles? So that's really what we're calling for here. And the last, therefore, be it resolved, is to underline the importance of having, again, all players in the room on these decisions and making these principles and looking at this holistically with all federal, state, local parties involved. I think that's it.
Question?
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is that as of today, I was in a workshop with the Environmental Defense Fund, RPA, a bunch of people looking at a pilot project to identify resiliency goals and indicators, which is really interesting, how to measure resiliency. And so that'll be something else that we can look at. These things will change, but I thought this is a really good document. So I hopefully that guys get to read it, not this resolution, but just the document. So,
Okay.
go ahead.
Nope, we're
Sorry.
going to Susan Cole first, and then
I think it's well done. I just want to say, I think you did a good job of synthesizing it.
perfect. Wendy and then Richard.
So I'm actually voting against this. And I am doing it because of the first presentation that we just saw of the west side, how it was. And things like minimum changes to the built environment, such as mature trees. Well, there were some trees before there that we saw on the west side way back when. Other things that are in here is that prioritizes the most risk vulnerable areas in the neighborhood. Well, that would mean that, you know, the Bowery Park City project, which is not the most, it's not the most vulnerable, as we all know, that we should delay that in favor of the most vulnerable. I have a lot of, I don't want to box us in. And a lot of these things I don't disagree with when you have a specific proposal or a specific thing you're looking at, or, you know, who has the money or when we're ready to go. But when you read these, you know, they sound completely reasonable, but these could be used against a project that we all like later on. You can say, well, in your resiliency thing that you said, it should, you know, be minimal, you know, it should be a cost benefit analysis. I mean, there are a lot of ways to look at this that we're not thinking, and I am not a lawyer, but or, you know, lawsuits or any of this stuff, but this could come back to haunt us. And so I would vote against it because I don't want to be boxed in. Thank you.
Richard? Jeff?
Yes, I agree with most all of it, but I agree actually with Wendy on a couple of points here related to the whereas, this final whereas of the local priorities. There are 13 of them, and,
Go slower, so that you're probably.
okay. There are 13 of them. They're not numbered, but I've numbered mine. And there are 2 points that I would like to make. I think that there are a couple of them that are, 3 of them that I see as essentially redundant. But more to the point is going back to what Wendy just said, which is the first presentation that we saw from Tom Fox. There was a transformation that was radical and radically changed what was there. And I think what we need to be thinking about is that we have to be prepared to consider radical changes to the current environment, so long as they generate something extraordinarily positive at the end, which something like the transformation of 9A, putting aside the issue of number of lanes, the transformation of 9A might do and or could do in terms of resiliency, in terms of streetscape, in terms of urban environment. And that would be a massive change, that if we look at the second, the 11th, which is the third from the last, and the 12th, which is the next to the last whereas, those kinds of considerations of a massive change could be rejected because they're too
So I'll read
they're
that.
too impactful.
I mean, first of all, I would impress upon you that the assumption for the city to have written these guidelines is simply for the fact that they are foreseeing tremendous impactful resiliency measures coming our way, and they're looking for ways to define what we should be principled about looking. I would also like to add that these are not just a committee's work over one session, but a number of months with a lot of people speaking up about it. On that particular point, Richard, it reads, resiliency measures that minimize construction time and disruption to communities' quality of life. I don't see anything in there that is, this has somehow.
If you look
So
at
is
that,
you want to remove that one? I don't.
I would write one resolution that says you can do all of those things unless the change.
Well, I'm going to accept that we remove that unless there's somebody that objects terribly to removing the third one. And which is the other one that you're objecting to?
For clarity,
It's number 11.
hold on, for clarity, because they're not numbered,
Yeah.
it is Alice saying yes to removing resiliency measures that minimize construction time and disruption to communities' quality of life.
I can't imagine why you want to remove that. I can't imagine how that isn't a positive thing, but if it's going to make it somehow more palatable to you and Wendy, I'm not going to do it. It's another one.
Hold on,
Oh, Mitch, can you scroll up to that one? The one that ends with quality of life?
One more.
Vote for it. That's really what it's
all
for.
right, so Richard,
No,
let's remember,
I'm sorry. Oh, no, it's not the quality of committee. On that resolution, there's a whereas it ended with quality of life. I'm sorry.
it's right, there you go, stop.
Please.
Go down a little bit, Onej, please.
There.
Thank you. All right, Richard, succinctly, anything else that you were saying?
So the second one, which says resiliency measures measures with minimal impact and disruption to existing community urban scapes, et cetera. To which I would want to add something like, or which will provide substantial improvement to the community and the urban landscape and other objectives.
I'm gonna say something on behalf of this, having sat through all the Battery Park City Authority meetings with the residents of where this is happening at their door, not necessarily the West Side Highway. There is a huge drive for that because you're talking about the plot of land that people live against, right? So a lot of that's being driven by people who are having resiliency measures done outside their front door, within 20 feet of their door, and they are not looking for that. So you have to think West Side Highway is one aspect of where resiliency needs to go. The other is there's an entire stretch of a mile of residential that's going to need resiliency. And then when we come around the east side and come up, there is all impact there.
Right.
So where I hear where you're going, understand that we're not just talking about in light of the first presentation.
No, I get that, and I
Okay,
think
we
a
break.
very important aspect of this is that we have community engagement and buy-in on anything. I just don't want us to be restricting the concept of a large transformational change, which I'm concerned some of these do. That's my statement.
I appreciate it, but I don't think I see that here, but I don't know what other people, I mean.
Okay, so we're going around the room. Richard said his piece. Alice said yes to removing the one that we have already announced 4, yes?
Well, let's hear everybody.
Okay. Justine?
So, okay, so I actually agree with Wendy and Richard on that, and I hear what you're saying, Tammy. I'm trying to wrap my mind around where else it would be impacted, because in Battery Park City, we've got another way to go. And not another way to go in terms of arguing and pushing, and we have. So we've got a voice in this. This is part.
It doesn't make a difference because you don't know if, let's say the city buys Battery Park City. And this is all city principles. Battery Park City Authority is one thing. You have to talk about all the people who live here and what, it doesn't make a difference who the governance is.
I mean,
you can't separate it out that way. It's governance for all projects.
I think it's too far.
I'm willing to remove these two. They seem to be, I absolutely do not appreciate or fully understand where you're coming from, but I hear you. And if that's going to allow, I really feel that the city's document on its own stands still and stands well and represents principles that I think were worked on by, I guess, 30 different agencies. I have to believe that they did something right. And that is really all this document is asking, is to adopt those principles with the addition of a few that were brought forth by the community. If those ones that you are challenging are the ones, in fact, that were added at the end for the local principles that talk about the minimizing of instruction, I will strike those. I will agree to strike those if that will appease the three.
That's all that I'm speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
Jeff, you're next.
No,
Betty,
doesn't solve Wendy's problem. I just
No, it
wanted to
doesn't.
know.
Yeah, no, it
Voting
doesn't.
against it. I know, I got it.
Clarify, Alex, clarify what you agreed to and what you didn't agree.
She's not there yet. We will absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I think I can obviate some of this. I mean, I share the concerns that Wendy raised in well, the two big ones of protecting the built environment could be seen as, well, now we're going to be stuck with a wall on 9A because that's the only thing that will preserve the environment.
Yeah.
And I'm also concerned about, misinterpreting the priority to most vulnerable areas. I certainly wouldn't want to wait 30 years to figure out what to do with the seaport before we do anything else. But I don't think these principles are intended to be hard and fast rules. They are considerations to throw into the mix. And I think we may be able to solve the anxiety of one or more of these goal 4 principles by including some language in that whereas along the lines of where the existing whereas reads CB1 cites the following additional principles as contained in the districts as follows. And then we could insert some language along the lines of provided that these items are not meant to be hard rules or restrictions, but are intended to be balanced, intended to be concerns to be balanced against the benefits of the project or against something or other. But basically some language that indicates that these are considerations to think about. I mean, even if you just look at this list, it's hard to satisfy all of them anyway, and some of them may work at cross purposes with.
I'm sorry, what was the last part of that, or that are balanced with what?
Balanced against the benefits of the project, or balanced against, the benefits of the project and
The risk benefit balance.
it's more than just that. It's also the circumstances of the project, taking into account the circumstances of the project.
Well,
And what would be fine for 9A may not be fine for the seaport.
okay.
Okay, we're
I'm
gonna
not
keep
wedded to
going.
that language, but that concept of that these are guidelines and they're not intended to be hard and fast rules.
Gotcha, got your wording. Are you done with that? Because I have Laura's hand up online. I'm gonna go Laura next, and then anybody else on this side of the room. Laura?
Thanks, Tammy. I just wanted to second all of the things that Richard said. I completely agree with him.
Thank you, Laura, for your succinctness. Betty?
I love you, Laura.
I strongly agree with Richard as well. I think that the issue, Alice, I think you were misrepresenting what he's saying. He was saying that he agreed with that, but they do the proviso that there can be something that is imaginatively different. And so it could require more work and it could require more time or money, but it is so much worth it for the payoff in the end that the principle would be too limiting. If you said you can't do anything that really reimagines anything new, you have to work within today's infrastructure.
Yeah, there's nothing that states that anywhere in this document.
It actually does.
Yeah.
It does. It can be interpreted that way. It's the same thing with the order with priorities, yes, it makes sense for the most vulnerable, but if money comes somewhere else first, that becomes a secondary issue.
Okay, so are we done?
Let me see if there's anybody else who has hands up. Okay, on the left side of the room, Morton?
Yeah, I think that Jeff and Richard can be sort of,
Combined?
combined.
Yeah.
It's getting late. And in that, what Richard's concern is that there be a balance struck between, for example, the item where it said resiliency matters with minimal impact, be the default. Well, there should be a balance between the benefits of, keeping the existing, situation with the improvement that is suggested. So if the improvement outweighs the benefit of the existing situation, you go with the improvement. If it doesn't, then you go with the other. So I think what Jeff suggests is striking a balance in all these things is what is best.
Thank you, Morton. I see Rose's hand up here, and then I don't see any other hands.
No,
Rose,
no.
sorry, Mary Alma.
Me know?
We'll go you first, because I didn't see you. You were probably hiding over there.
I just second Jeff's. I'm quick. I second.
Okay, Rosa?
I'd like to consider how we would look at this with the lens of the work that we have seen from Five Eyes Seaport Resiliency Plan, right? Which we all, I think, can agree is much better than the US Army Corps of Engineers plan. And so there are some, I guess my biggest concern here would be the second last point, which is the resiliency measures that minimize changes to the built environment, such as mature tree removal, demolition of buildings, and existing park space that provide alternatives for concerned community members who do not support major changes to neighborhood open space. One could argue that we are actually considering, not only considering, but hopefully we will move ahead with the Five Eyes Seaport Resiliency Plan if it ever gets funded. That is an enormous change. It is not nature-based in the sense that we will be going out into the East River. But that is a concrete-ish plan that is ahead of us right now that I think a lot of us have already reviewed. And if we were to look at these with that project in mind, since we are already familiar with the proposal there, how would this work? Would that meet the muster of this document, or would it be a challenge to getting that built? And I don't actually know the answer.
I think we saw it in East River Park. It's exactly that. And I think a lot of these people who showed up like, from time to time at meetings, and particularly of course Wagner Park, are looking very much in an existing condition that they like. And so it's a park, and so they don't want the trees removed, they don't want to take down, good WPA buildings, and they didn't want to ruin their existing park. You're absolutely right, if that principle were before them, and I'm sure something like it, 6 years ago, that maybe they had a little bit, they would have more say in not seeing all those three things be removed. And you're right, some people wanted it and some people didn't. And now they're all gone. I just walked by there on Sunday and it's extraordinary. There's nothing left and it is a brave new world over there. And you could go on either side of that. So, you risk, it's the point.
The other thing I'm gonna say, Rosa, when you look at that, the Five Eyes Seaport Master Plan is a build out. So it
Yes,
doesn't actually affect the built environment as much as the historic locations. So it kind of all works together. I don't think it necessarily pushes one for the other. If we can, my suggestion, then I'm going to Bernard, is to put in the language about finding a balance, because I think as people have heard me say many, many times, the best solution is where everybody is unhappy. And I do think that if we look at citing additional principles, because they're very specific to our area, right, not the rest of the city, and we say, provided that there
Well, I've got it. I've tried to write what
Hit it.
Jeff had said, yeah. So first of all, before I read that is, Jeff, asked, I mean, I'm a little confused as to, are there certain things under goal 4 that people feel very strongly have to be removed with or without this additional
Well,
phrase
I
and
mean-
balance?
Well, before you answer that, I think if we phrase the guiding principles, not just additional, but additional guiding, which means it's not a hard, fast rule, right? And we add the language in that Jeff had talked about softening it. It means that these are principles that should be considered and should be evaluated as part of the process, not just, thrown away, which I think covers everything that everyone has said, except for Wendy, who doesn't think that any of it should be included. But that's kind of what I'm trying to find is the middle of the road, and that's fine, Wendy, it's okay. And Richard, that's okay, I'm trying to find balance there. Before you two, Bernard had his hand up, then you, and then back to Alice.
So I just have a question, like, all these principles, when you put in, if they don't follow, then what? What's the need? Is there any binding?
It's not binding, it's designed for
Yeah, so my
conversation.
point is that whether you add one or subtract one, it's more about whether they want to follow or not. It's not like how many principles you want to put in. It's more like, what they are following is more important, right? The objective, right?
Do we have a deadline to answer this or?
Yeah, it's tonight. We've had three meetings on this, and I mean, just so I can just say to you again, the reason that we brought this to committee was very simple. A lot of people wanted to basically read some document that just addresses principles of which the city is looking at to guide these very impactful projects throughout the city, looking at coastal resiliency. And the city came up with some that we found that were recently written that most of us thought were very, very strong. And so originally, the only thing we were going to do was simply adopt these principles for our board so that when people come, you have no principles, how do you make the decisions? We had something, and when we're dead and gone, the future generations can have some document that the city made that we've adopted that is in our archives. That is all that was really trying to be accomplished here. And then we added and allowed people to add principles to the city's document, which is that last whereas, which is where we're finding we're in trouble a little bit. And so, I'm happy to add Jeff's suggestion, which would read CD1 cites the following additional guiding principles, provided that these principles are balanced against the benefits of the purpose. Was that what you said?
Well, I said, part of these principles are not intended to be hard rules or restrictions, but which should be balanced against all relevant factors, including the benefits to be achieved by the project.
I would accept the last part. I will not say, I would not accept the the restrictive stuff.
Well, then I wouldn't support it.
Okay.
Because I think
So, all right.
I didn't follow what.
there's any number of these bullet points that we would want to deviate from for a particular project such as 9A.
Okay, understood. The committee worked on this. Alice has language she feels fits what the committee's work has done. Please reread it as you have it, and then we're moving to a vote. We are done with dialogue on this topic.
Yeah, I'm willing to accept what I just said, which is to say exactly, provided that these principles are balanced against what Jeff just said, the last part. I think it says it's a guiding principle, and we don't have to say it's obviously not a hard and fast rule. And I'm happy to remove, if it's going to make or break something, if it's really going to influence the whole board in a way that's going to be helpful, I'm happy to remove any one of these objectives, which
11, which is minimize construction time and disruption to community quality of life. By removing that, it allows the concept for big projects, but leaving measure 2 in.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
To use this idea for a guideline that some people feel that is very important. And that is also matching some of the things that we did talk about on our Army Corps of Engineer resolution that we already passed last month. Lucia.
It also just struck me that, for Joe's question, if there's a time sensitivity to this, that these could also be given to the Army Corps of Engineers,
Correct,
by the 31st deadline,
correct,
to further guide them.
correct. Okay, so with those changes in, I'm calling the question. Fantastic. So,
Can we do roll call?
no,
We go faster.
no, no, no. So everybody in favor,
Roll call.
hands up for, in the room if you're in favor. Online, you must have your cameras on to vote. Fantastic. All right. Anybody who is a no? All right, say your names, please.
Mariama.
All right, I have Chapman, no, Kucha, no, James, no, Betty, Kay, no, Amoruso, no, Lynn, no. I'll never get that.
Friedman, is Friedman?
No, I'm resting.
Okay.
Nobody. If you are online and you are voting no, please unmute yourself. Hearing no nos online, are there any abstentions? Can you say your next, please?
Brown Kennedy abstained.
Brown Kennedy abstains, Galloway abstains.
Actually, I'm gonna vote no. It's Laura Starr. I'm gonna vote no.
Thank you, Star was no. Okay, abstentions in the room are Stelter,
Brown Kennedy.
Brown Kennedy, and Galloway. Got it.
Oh, you're right here.
Okay.
Question, no, question. Will we get a copy of the new resolution as?
Absolutely, it goes, absolutely.
Thank you.
With that, and are there any recusals? Fantastic. No recusals, motion passes. Thank you very much.
What was the vote?
Sue vote. We don't
Show test. And we move along, except we only have one that's going to be separate, and that's what always takes.
Art, for the record, there are 7 opposed and 3 abstentions.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, take us, Pat.
Mariama's gonna take me first.
Mariana, you're up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, quiet in the room, please, for Mariana. Thank you.
So, I'm here for the 9/11 Survivor Legislative Report first portion. Back last year in November, we had Senator Kristen Gillibrand's office report at our full board meeting on a crisis that was occurring at that time. Whereas the funding gaps meant to cover the World Trade Center Health Program were not approved in the omnibus bill last year. And so the reason we have, first of all, for those who don't understand, the reason there are funding gaps is because the bill passed in 2010 and is meant to last through 2090 to cover people who become ill that are eligible for World Trade Center certified diseases to remain covered through 2090. But at the time that the bill passed back in 2010, there was not this expectation, probably thinking more positively, there was not this expectation that so many people would come down with cancer, which is a very expensive disease to treat. So because that is our reality, that is what happened, the program was running out of money and was going to have to begin to turn away patients as soon as 2024. So obviously this was a major crisis. And it doesn't just include this neighborhood, I'm talking, all eligible 9/11, survivors and first responders and area workers and students and like the whole lot. So because of that shortfall, Senator Schumer attempted to put the money, $4 billion, close to $4 billion, into the omnibus bill last year. And the way that it was relayed to us, it didn't make it in, but it was stopped by Mitch McConnell or whatever. So Kirsten Gillibrand came in like a Hail Mary pass with $1 billion to cover a portion of that shortfall. And obviously, not nearly enough to make it to 2090, but what they expected would cover people through 2027. to give us a little extra time as opposed to beginning to turn away people in 2024. Obviously, we don't want to turn away people in 2027 either.
Yeah.
So Senator Gillibrand has gone back to that drawing board, along with, Congressman, Barbarino out of Long Island. They replaced Peter King, who was one of the original sponsors of the original bill, obviously. And he is leading it up in the Congress. She is leading it up in the Senate. They're going after this additional money. On top of that, they are filling a gap in coverage where some people in Pennsylvania and some people at the Pentagon that were otherwise should have been eligible responders, not necessarily first responders and workers there are also being covered now under this new bill proposal, whereas they weren't before. They were left out. And so they came again this year to our not to our full board, obviously they're not here tonight, but they did come to Quality of Life, Kirsten Gillibrand's office again, to let us know that that's going on. I actually went to DC to participate in the bill announcement and the press conference there, along with some other area people and first responders, area workers from Pennsylvania, from DC, from New York. Actual, a lot of support for it. Our congressman, obviously, is a co-sponsor as well, supports it, as is our former congressman. And so what we need you to do is tell, your family members and your friends who don't live in this district, who Congress people and Senate people maybe don't support it, to get on the phone and contact their members, asking them to support it. And just on top of that, what we can do here at our level is a resolution in Quality of Life in April, at April's meeting, supporting this bill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the rest of the meeting. So, every month or every other month, we have a police officer from the first precinct come, so that along with the council meeting, which is happening this Thursday, it's on Zoom this month, every other month is Zoom, the months in between are in person. Aside from that meeting, you can come to Quality of Life Committee and talk to a police officer about what is happening, if you have any issues, if you have any problems. So this month, Officer Ford came, and actually he told us that crime, I know that it doesn't feel that way, but crime in our community is down this year compared to last year. And that the majority of the crimes that are complaints that they're getting about traffic, and we all know there's a lot of issues on Hudson Street related to the Holland Tunnel, and they're getting complaints about the smoke shops, which we know that Justine has been telling us, blogging what smoke shops are in the area. But those are the two major complaints. The other thing we talked about was, and I think I mentioned this last month, was 52 William Street and 99 Washington Street, which are becoming housing for immigrant families, but these are adult families with adult children. There are no small children in those both of those facilities. And one of the problems, Tammy, who was the new neighbor who came tonight, so we're gonna work with her and see if we can figure out a way to not have smoke wafting into her apartment. But the other issue was that at 99 Washington Street, which is at Rector, the people who work in that, who go to work and use bicycles, have been, I want to say attaching, with locking their bikes to the scaffolding on the block. And so a lot of the businesses are complaining about that scaffolding and about bikes being, not only the complaint about scaffolding, which they should be, and hopefully Borough President Levine will do something about that. We at Quality of Life have been complaining about scaffolding for years. But anyway, we're gonna see if we can work with the police to try to figure out, either get a bike rack located there or to do something else so that they're not locking their bikes to the scaffolding. So that's pretty much the police report. The other thing was we had an organization called New York City Smoke Free, and they are an organization that advocates and educates about stopping smoking. They would like to work with any building that wants to work with them to try to stop, in NYCHA housing, it is illegal to smoke inside. But in co-ops and condominiums, you have to vote on it. And in residential buildings that are not co-ops and condominiums, you might be able to get your landlord, it depends, to have a no smoking inside policy. So they're a great organization. If anyone is interested, you can look them up online. We might have gotten their contact information to put in our newsletter, right? Lucia? I don't remember if we did or we didn't.
They sent us material.
Okay, so it will be either in our newsletter, or you can just look them up online, New York City Smoke Free. And that's,
Isn't smoke-free just tobacco, or is it, because it's one of the things that I'm
no, it
confused
wasn't
by.
about weed, it was just tobacco, yeah. Weed we're gonna take up, we're gonna, 'cause I know everybody has mixed feelings about.
Edibles? I'm all for it,
Yeah, but the
you know.
smoke is disgusting, it smells like a bunch of skunks living.
We made it in my building, smoke is smoke.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel, smoke is.
Still secondhand smoke.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
still secondhand,
Yo.
whatever it was.
Sorry. No interrupting Pat. Pat.
Now, that's it, I think I'm done. I think,
Hands up for questions for Pat. We're gonna go, thank you. We're gonna go Mark, Andrew, Eric, and Richard.
Quickly, we're gonna take this
Where have
item
you
up,
been at our meeting?
not on the committee anymore.
Why? All right, anyway.
Enough.
But we're gonna take this up before the COVID, Citibank building on Greenwich Street, the traffic congestion with the pickups. Today they had 2 buses double parked, so if we can call the Citibank liaison guys, and we can get them maybe come in next month.
Yeah,
and
would you send
work
me
on
an
it.
email, please?
Sure thing.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Was it
Next.
Eric?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a regulation on city-owned bike racks? Because I've started to notice some bikes in the financial district where bikes have been there for
Do you mean the
weeks.
city,
Yeah.
city bike
Right. No, not the city bike, but,
program? You're talking
Abandoned
bike
bicycles?
rats.
yeah, abandoned bicycles.
Call through and and it's for sanitation.
Right.
And send it to me and I'll follow up. The sanitation can clip the lock and take it away after a certain amount of time.
Right.
But what's the minimum time? Because I suspect there isn't, and I think it's.
I don't know if there's a regulation on minimum time.
It shouldn't be there more than 24 hours.
Well, I guess maximum time, yeah. But if you think it's an abandoned bike and you've seen it for a week or two, or, no one's
Report
done
it to
anything about it.
311, like
Yeah.
Lucian said, and send
Yeah, let them.
Andrew Zelter.
Put it on eBay.
So I can't recall what triggered this, but you may remember, precinct 1 had a presence at the BPC ball fields, particularly the terrace, when there had been a series of incidents. The weather warming up, there's evidence that we're heading down that path again. I was there Friday evening and it was just utter chaos and pretty aggressive. So I don't know if we can put that on the radar.
Well, can we come Thursday? It's on Zoom to the first precinct council meeting.
This,
This Thursday, the day after tomorrow. It's on Zoom. It's at 6
What is the
o'clock.
nature of the issue at the ball fields?
So I don't recall if it was, I think it was last year, that there were a series of incidents that triggered precinct 1 putting a patrol car. I believe they sat on Murray Street most of the time by the Murray Street entrance to the ball fields. The ball-
Like scuffles?
Scuffles, bottles being thrown from the terrace down to the ground
Okay.
level. And this last Friday, there was a school event which might have triggered this, but there were just groups of kids, aggressive towards adults and other activities.
Okay.
I really would really love it if you come Thursday.
Sure.
It's on Zoom, so you don't have to say.
If you can't come, a representative from the Little League could come, anybody who could speak to what's going on would be great. Eric, Richard, you're next.
Yeah, Pat, are the crime statistics that you've cited available anywhere?
Yes, they are, and you might actually go to listen to our YouTube video, and, I didn't write down all of the numbers, but you can either listen to the YouTube video and see if you get the information you need. Again, come Thursday, it's on Zoom to the First Precinct Council meeting. Lucian will post it, right? They're gonna post it online.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, okay, so you can get the, you can come Thursday.
Do they cite a source for those statistics?
Comp
Comp stats.
Sorry?
They have comp stats.
Wasn't there an article
Usually
about it in
focus
the
on the
broadsheet?
Just that one.
Seven major crimes.
Yeah.
That's kind of the benchmark.
I'm sorry.
The 7
Seven
major crimes.
crimes.
Focuses on the 7 major crimes
Yes.
as a benchmark. But they should have data on even minor crimes as well, like the kinds that, Andrew was
We don't
describing.
a lot of
Those
the major.
are also collected. If there's a police report written, somebody actually calls and forces the police to write a report, it will be documented and go on their
I mean,
stats.
unfortunately, we do have, like 1 or 2 rapes. It's unfortunate, but we don't really get some of those major numbers in our community. We're lucky.
So, hold on. Thank you. Lucian emailed to the Quality of Life Committee, the NYPD comp stats right before they came to the meeting this month. So we have the ones from March 6th through March 12th. They are done on a, consistent weekly basis. They're actually public information that you can find. We can certainly send you the one that came if you'd like, Richard. And, if you get on the mailing list, it'll be better.
You know, we
Mariana
only had
is
a
the-
tour of a Constat at one PP some years ago. I mean, that could be arranged again.
Mariama?
Lucia, didn't they say that the crime that was occurring in the train station was separate though?
That's
So it's
separate.
part of our-
That's Transit District 2.
That's a big part of this community's crime. So it could be that crime is down in general and on the streets. But if something's happening every day at Fulton Street Station or at Brooklyn Bridge
Yeah,
Station.
but
it's still
remember,
up.
we did have,
It's in a different.
we had the transit cops come.
We can have Transit 2 come in again.
Great.
See, it's a good point, and that there are different commands, and most districts have at least 3 different commands. We only have 2. We have the first district, and we have the Transit District 2, and that's the transit division. And those are separate, Mariam is correct, those are separate, comp
And separate stats, yeah.
data.
The police that comes to the monthly meeting that came along said the exact thing, that he was only getting
Mitch?
statistics for above ground.
Mitch, hands up if you're gonna talk. It's getting later, so I'm getting crankier. All right, just warning everybody. All right, does anybody else have anything for Pat? Hands up.
Laura Starr.
Laura,
Hi, quickly, what about just the sheer amount of marijuana smoking on the streets, outside of buildings and in the subways? I mean, does that come up with the police at all?
On subway, it is a crime.
But any kind of thing they wanna make.
I mean, I think it's
not a crime
guys,
on the public right of way.
And I think it's something we will talk about and see if there's anything we could.
There's an exception if it's affecting children.
Mark, stop.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, everyone. There's a lot of crosstalk and we can't really understand anything any of you are saying.
So everybody stop, let Lucian answer the question that was asked by Laura. Nobody else chime in, please.
So just for those who are remote, people consuming marijuana, via smoking it on the sidewalk, on a public sidewalk, is not illegal. However, consumption in a park or other types of property that isn't under the jurisdiction of DOT, park is definitely illegal because cigarettes are illegal in the park. For things like a plaza that's under jurisdiction of DCAS, like the one here on West Center Street, I'd have to check to see if DCAS police would enforce a smoking ban. I don't think that there's a smoking ban, but marijuana, I'm unclear about. So it kind of depends on where outside. Any smoking on the subway is illegal. And so you can drop a dime on someone smoking however you can, but I mean, it's difficult to do. But that's one of the reasons why the MTA, now makes announcements when there are police on the platform. So like 14th Street, they say, oh, there's a police precinct here, or, oh, there's some people on the platform. It's still kind of awkward to try to fly somebody down to come in the car, but that's part of the crime stats. They're not gonna be captured unless there's a police report, unfortunately.
But I guess my question was whether the police in the places where it's not legal see it as something that they need to crack down on because it's so ubiquitous in places where it's not legal to be smoking.
No.
I honestly, I don't know if they are, increasing the amount of, enforcement in parks for any kind of smoking, whether it's cigarettes.
I'm
or
talking
marijuana.
parks and subways. I mean, I think it's appalling, and I think it's a sign of decline of our culture. And I think we should be encouraging the police to curb it.
Well, I
Okay,
think
well-
because it is illegal, if they see it, you know, you can't smoke on the subway. If they see it, I'm sure they'll stop it. If they
Laura,
don't see it.
we're gonna ask Transit 2 Police to come in.
Yeah.
Please
Okay.
tell us what you'd like when we do that, and we can discuss
I
it.
will. Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Laura. Anybody else? I'm really trying to get to Susan and get us home.
No, we
So-
have Jeff. He's the last one. Remember, we were gonna take but
Okay.
I'm going. So I'd like to,
Battery Park City already?
No, we don't have that.
That's right. So we have no Jeff.
No, we do. It's gonna
About the new business that they're at.
the new business.
Let's go quick. Hopefully we can take them all at once.
No citizen against citizen.
No citizen, that other resolution. All right, so let me just do, I would like to take 36 Battery Park Place, 179 Broadway,
Okay, Ruby?
and 40 Wall Street all together. Because they're, if you read them, they're very simple. We've got all the hours we needed. There was some issue on Wall Street. Joe was not happy with the traffic that we thought was gonna happen, although it really is on Wall and William. But, all the hours and everything's okay. And then I'd like to do 86 Warren Street. So could I call, can I call the question?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Second.
All right. So I guess she's busy. All in favor, raise your hands.
Well done.
Any recusals? Any abstentions?
Any no's?
No. Okay, so let's go to, 86 Warren. And I would just like to note that the community were terrific and we really, you know, my view, and I tell you this every year of every meeting, Francis and I, that voting no doesn't help us on a lot of these things unless they're so egregious. So getting the stipulations to put all the requirements that the community asked and to change and the resolution. So the 12th resolution, which talks about what the 11th.
The 11th one talks about the applicant was represented that according to blah, 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 blah. And then there's a sentence that's underlined and begins with however. I want to take that out and make that whereas number 12.
So you want however to
So-
be the whereas number 12?
Justine, I got it. I can share it. I'm good. So,
And it should read,
go for it.
the community expressed their concerns about the North Roof Terrace, since such activities may require music, and the applicant signed a stipulation and said that there will be no music on the rooftop.
Perfect. That addresses the concerns and everything we heard at the public
Exactly,
session.
and so everything that's in the resolution is in the stipulation, actually. It worked out really well, and they signed it. So they play music, we're coming for them.
All the stipulations for these resolutions have been turned in and signed and notarized.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Oh,
When it says temporary retail permit, they come back in a year, is that?
well, they can come back. We may not grant them anything, but we give them the option if they've been good neighbors. And let's say they say and the community comes and they say, we do want to have, yoga on that north end, whatever. And we would like to only have X at a certain time. We would consider it. And remember, we don't have any purview unless they're allowed to have liquor. Okay, allowed to have liquor. Remember, we're a liquor licensing. So if they don't want to have liquor, I mean, we got them to agree to this, so that was a big deal. but they're not, you know, so we'll see. We told them they could come back. That was-
Very active community.
It was
So
a
I
great
am
group of
sure
folks.
if anything goes wrong, they will be on it.
I also want to expand on that. The temporary liquor license was a law that was passed during the pandemic when the SLA started having a huge backlog, where if there had been a license at some point in the past there, then while they're waiting for their hearing of the SLA, they could start serving under a restrictive set of stipulations until they got their hearing. And then the SLA would consider whether to give them the more expansive hours and ability to serve that they're asking for. So that way they don't languish for 6 months paying rent without being able to do business.
Anybody else have any questions in the room? Especially if I can't see you, shout out. I see no hands up online and Colin has called a question.
Okay.
Second.
You were doing great. Take it.
All in favor?
The last one.
No. Sorry, Patrick. Any recusals? Any abstentions?
Wait, Warren abstains.
Oh, Warren?
Name's like,
Okay.
Are there any no's in the room?
And you? No, okay.
Are there any no's in the room or online? Okay, motion passes, one abstain.
And I really want to acknowledge the community for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they are, because they're still here.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it was the last item on the agenda, and she stayed.
So Susan, you have all of yours done now?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm not talking about the 200-foot rule, which is because of, One Wall Street and their liquor license and whatever, but we'll deal with it next month. Because they came to report to us. But they've got Trinity Church behind them and whatever, and there's no limit.
They went to,
Yes?
The question is, if that's the last resolution,
But it's,
and that's the question I'm asking,
no,
It's not.
okay, you have one more?
no, he has the resolution.
Yeah, but it's not been
Yeah.
proposed yet.
It's not been composed.
It's not been proposed yet, so you have to do the roll call, we have to count and do business, we have to do the roll call vote, and then you close that regular business, and then you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you,
All right.
On Susan.
Right.
Okay, so let's see.
The last one.
Thank you.
Who's roll calling?
I'm roll calling.
Okay,
Colin's
so
roll calling, everybody just super fast.
Blank.
Yes.
you enter blank.
I say, okay, make it a bad guy.
Did you record all my other votes? Yes. Double check.
Yes, I guess.
Cameron.
Cameron, yes.
Can't hear you.
Something's wrong with the microphone.
Kucha.
Yes. Sorry.
Corman, yes.
I haven't listened to you all that long, okay, so, all right, Corman, yes.
Kuchia, yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Forsberg.
I'm here.
Friedman.
Yes.
Broman.
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Goldstein.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Kay.
Hey, yes.
Cannell.
Now, yes.
Capel.
Yes.
Lerner. Lewinson.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Tony goes yes. Seltzer.
Seltzer.
McHugh.
Sorry. Meltzer, yes.
Inslee.
Moore.
Moore.
Yes.
Robinson.
Robinson, yes.
Star.
Yes.
Son. Jimmy. Harrison. You.
Yes.
Zelter.
Yes.
Okay, didn't change.
Okay, so now we are done with the business of the board. And we have done our last roll call. Is there any new business?
Yes.
Jeff,
Propose a resolution to bring closure to the 501A discussion that we had earlier. And I propose a resolution that would have the same gray line as that earlier resolution, int number 501-A, civilian reporting of hazardous obstruction violations. The whereases would include the second whereas of
You
the.
need to read the whole thing for the record, Mike.
Okay, I will read it, but I'll explain what it is. So the first whereas is the same as the whereas from the earlier resolution with a slight modification, and that would read, whereas on June 2nd, 2022, Councilmember Lincoln Ressler introduced int number 501, which would have amended the administrative code of the City of New York, NYC, close paren, to allow civilian complaints to the Department of Transportation, DOT, close paren, for illegal parking, and then we would insert two other words, comma, standing or stopping, three other words, standing or stopping, and then continuing with the language from the earlier whereas, in bike lanes, bus lanes, and crosswalks, and a fire hydrant, and on sidewalks. Violations would have been punishable with a $170 fine, comma, with 25% awarded to the complainant. And then I'd read the resolution that is on the bottom of the first page. I mean, the whereas.
Are you keeping the next whereases?
No, I'm keeping one additional whereas.
So at the time that was introduced goes away, and the
And-
resolution supporting,
Goes away. And then but the next resolution is incorporated
Wait,
into
wait.
where.
the next
I'm
whereas,
sorry, the next whereas.
as March 3rd, 2023.
That's right. No, do I need to read that whole thing with all those bullet
Are you
points?
keeping all of it?
I'm keeping all of it.
And the following whereas after that?
No other whereases, nothing left of the text of that resolution is kept.
It's all crossed out.
All crossed out. The next whereas would be, whereas.
New.
This is a new whereas.
This is a new whereas after the two that I just.
Okay.
Whereas, after further discussion and debate, comma, MCD1 is concerned about the wisdom and practicability of citizen enforcement of traffic infractions of this sort. Comma,
Hold on.
semicolon, and then another whereas.
Is
Citizen
concerned about the practicality
practicability of citizen, is concerned about the wisdom and practicability of citizen enforcement, traffic infractions of this sort. The end of that whereas. And that's whereas would read, whereas MCD1 is further concerned that citizen enforcement in this context risks encouraging an unwise citizen against citizen dynamic and risks setting a precedent for inappropriate expansion of citizen enforcement beyond the traffic infractions that are subject to Intro 501-A. Whereas MCD1 believes NYPD should be more diligent in enforcement of existing traffic regulations. Now, therefore, be it resolved, MCD1 proposes intro number 501A with or without the amendments included in the March 3rd introduction. Be it further resolved that MCD1 urges we're not doing that. Just, I need to find the old one. Urges our council member, the Honorable Christopher Martin, to oppose info number final one.
Good. How about, yeah,
Well, we have a second.
I call the question second.
So. Chair has to recognize it. And the chair has to go through. So y'all can continue and I'll just wait until you're all done shouting back and forth. Okay?
If it's
Andrew,
seconded,
you have your
then
hand
it
up.
should be voted on.
Is the effect of what's being proposed that we do absolutely nothing and just whatever status quo is status quo?
Yes.
Are there any other?
Well, I'm just saying, so it addresses 501. Whatever we do, it's not the solution provided at 501.
Can't
get rid of it.
Again, if your hand's not in the air, I swear I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. But I may start throwing things. Patrick, thank you.
So Andrew's point, or what I think may have been implied in his point, is that the thing about 501A is that it's an attempt to do something. We know traffic enforcement is terrible in the city. We know the NYPD is not able to keep up with it. Cars in bike lanes, people driving in bike lanes. I think that's really what this is meant to address. You can address real technical parts of the introduction that might conflict with the vehicle and traffic law, and I get that, but overall, watering this thing down even more, first of all, I think it was watered down in the amendments by the city council, but now saying we're completely opposed to it is exactly that. It's just maintaining the status quo. Let's let lawlessness rule. We know the cops aren't gonna do anything about it, so let's throw up our hands and not do a damn thing about it. That's really what I see coming down to.
I had just one thing to say to add to that, and that is, how is it different, reporting cars on this app than calling 311 or calling 911? Because they're breaking the law. And so how is it different, Okay, go ahead.
I'm not allowed to
Hands up.
respond, so I can't answer.
Richard has his hand up, and then Rosa, I'm letting all the people who didn't interrupt me to start with. Richard?
Yes, I find it utterly inappropriate for us to evaluate something this complicated without time to assess it. And goes to the question just asked, what actually are you saying here? And you have to interpret what you're saying. We can't read it. This is not how we should be evaluating and reporting, and voting on a resolution of serious consequence. Just to run it off, with all due respect on the work that's put in, we need to have time to think through, read it, understand the consequences, have discussions about it, something like this. I do not think it's appropriate for us to vote on a resolution in this kind of manner. And I want to add one more thing, which is that I would like to encourage the board, however this is done, for all resolutions to be provided to the members at least 24 hours before the meeting. Because for us to do our due diligence, for us to really vote and represent the community, we need to understand what we're seeing, and we have things to do on the same day. And we might not have a chance to read this stuff if it only comes the same day.
Are you making a motion, Richard, to
I don't-
table the new resolution?
I would make, yes, I would make a
And
motion.
It's
table
been,
the-
yes,
Thank
it's
you.
been second. So,
I made a motion to second the resolution before that.
Yeah.
you were not recognized by the chair or heard yet. We were going around for people who had not interrupted. Okay? Our parliamentarian, I need a ruling because in the process of discussion, there has been a motion to table this and send it back to committee. And it has been second. That is where we come.
Remember this precedent that was just set.
A motion to table is not debatable. The motion in and of itself is subject to debate. So when somebody calls a question and seconds it, it's subject to debate. You could debate, you can ask questions and raise your hand and talk about it. Unfortunately, a motion to table, when it's made and seconded, is not debatable. Has to be voted.
Therefore, a vote has to be taken immediately on the motion to table. So at this point,
Squash the debate.
it does,
Fair.
and it has.
It's just not
So
fair.
at this point, we are going to roll call on motion to table.
To table, I'm sorry, to table what?
To table the new resolution, which means it goes back to committee.
We're just gonna go through this meeting after meeting.
This
is really what you wanna do?
Our lovely police lady is here. Roll call.
Amoruso,
No to table.
blank,
Blank, yes.
Brown Kennedy,
Frank Kennedy, yes.
Cameron. Cameron. I don't see her out there. Her
She's gone here.
Cassell,
Cassell, yes.
Chang,
Yes, to table.
Chapman,
Yes.
I haven't even seen that.
Cole,
No.
Corman,
Yes, the table.
Kucha,
No to table.
Curtis,
Abstain.
Flores,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Forsberg, Friedman,
Friedman, yes.
Perlman,
No.
Galloway,
No.
Goldstein,
No,
James,
No.
Kay,
Okay, yes.
Cadell,
No. To table.
Pell. Capel,
No.
Lewinson,
Your mic is screwy again.
Can't hear you.
It's because people are talking in the room. Please do not talk while the roll call is going.
Lyon,
Yes.
Mahoney, yes. Meltzer,
Yes.
Minsley,
Yes, the table.
Moore,
No.
Robinson,
Yes.
sorry, on here, Star,
Yes.
Son, Jimmy,
Yes.
Vera Son,
Here, no.
you,
No.
Zelter,
Yes.
going back. Sorry. Cameron,
Cameron, no.
anything else I miss?
Lewinson, had a second call.
Lewinson, you there? Okay. 18 in favor, 14 opposed, 2 abstain.
18-4-2.
Motion carries for the tabling. We would be delighted, Jeff, if you write this up in better detail. I know.